Okay. How does this work? This is so cool. Here we go. So I can just put this guy anywhere, right? Okay, put him right there. Okay. Based on amount of fish. Okay. Not enough uranium. Okay. Worms. Okay, hold on. I get negative. Okay, that's uranium over here. Negative 88. Welcome, strategy. This is so cool. This is Chem Goblin's game here. Yeah. This thing is cool. It combines a bunch of really fun ideas. Totally chill. I like it. Okay. Oh, it randomizes big fish. 150. Okay, hold on. Oh, did I lose and it just reset? Is that what happened? Fish between eyes gains uranium. Okay. Okay. Well, that doesn't help. Small fish. What about this guy? Oh, there we go. Ooh. So you see more fish on the playing field here. That increases the fish in your pipes. And basic pipe here. Okay. I haven't quite figured out the pipe thing, but it's such a cool fusion. Such a cool fusion of all these different ideas, and the music is so super chill. Little buggy, the volume slider's a little buggy, but I appreciate it being there. Fish under yellow dots gain 238 uranium after every loop they make. Okay. Do I just plop this down in there? Fish under yellow dots. Oh, okay. So like something like this. Ah, okay. I see. So that takes up space on the playing field. And it's like you inadvertently wind up making like kind of a crazy looking object as well. Yeah, this is just super duper clever, and you can kind of just do whatever you want. Like it's super chill, you know, like it's not punishing you for experimenting. I don't understand why I would buy a toxic pipe. That's the thing that I'm kind of not understanding about the pipes. Some of them seem bad. Fish on the end of the needle gains speed proportionally to uranium inside of them. Oh my god. Okay. Let's inject the big guy here with the max speed 2x. You see, as they go through the pipes, they're making uranium. Slow pipe. Okay, let me try that. So that slows them down. Oh, so that's like a multiplier. Okay. Yeah, so it's got this idle mechanic here. Not enough time to implement time management. So I think I need to get time somehow. Looks like I could take a chance on a random pipe. This is just so clever. This is so fun. Okay, so we get new stuff here. Oh, catfish. We had catfish. When did you have catfish? We had fried catfish. Anyone seen that Aqua Teen Hunger Force? Sorry, that might be a deep cut. This is so cool, man. I love this. This needs to be sold on Steam. Yeah. This needs to be sold on Steam for like $1. Just put it on Steam for $1. You know, clean it up a little bit, obviously. Make sure it's not as glitchy. Upgraded pipe, yeah. Oh, there we go. Casino pipe. Yeah, we need some tool tips on what the hell these pipes do. That's really the only thing missing here. Everything else is kind of... These tool tips are super useful. Simple pipe. Slow pipe. More random pipe. See, I don't understand why I would ever want to do any of these toxic pipes. Like, why are they even there, right? Increase speed of neighboring fish. Hell yeah. Yeah, do it the catfish, because he's slow. But don't I want slow? Because we have slow pipes that make sure they earn more money. Or uranium. Sunfish. That's cute. Yeah, I was about to ask Kim, when will it hit Steam? Yeah, no, you can sell this for $1. I'd give you $1 for this. Uh-oh, I can't place it down and I can't get rid of it. Oh, I have to sell it. Oh. Oh, I love Pipe Dream, dude. Check out the gaming section. I literally just bought an in-box copy of Pipe Dream from thrift store. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh my God, I post a lot of bullshit. Did I not tell people? Surely I would have told people that I bought Pipe Dream in box. Yeah, there it is. Here, I'll show you the... Oh, it's slowing down. That's just my shitty computer. But no, look, I bought this from a thrift store. It was really cheap, like $20. But I've always loved the artwork on this specific version of Pipe Dream for Nintendo. And it was like $25 or something. I'm like, oh my God. In-box Nintendo game for $25, you know, fuck, I'm gonna buy that. But I've always loved this box art with the gooey, shiny, green fluid, the clean kind of, you know, very clean and you know, kind of artsy, fartsy kind of presentation. Oh, well, thank you so much. Back when Nintendo was still based. Yeah, I mean, Nintendo was always kind of hard-assed, but the litigious nature of Nintendo and their desire to rip people off is really, I mean, I don't buy Nintendo consoles anymore. Well, I do. I'll buy a Nintendo console, but then I will mod it. I'm not getting involved in paying $30 for a Super Nintendo game. I'm not your sucker, Nintendo. You know, they need to think twice about their monetization. All right, anyway, this is absolutely lovely. Make sure you check it out, folks. This is Chem Goblin's, not just Chem Goblin, but it was him and some other folks. Let me just, yeah, so that's, who did it here? We got Chem Goblin over here programming, and, you know, this is good stuff. You know, this is not amateur hour over here. There's a lot of complexity to what's happening on screen here. It's a single screen game, but a lot of complexity with these two different things working together. So very, very good. The artwork is great. It's really cute, you know, very cute. Music was catchy. Enjoyed the music. So it looks like they just got the music and the sound from some sound packs and stuff like that. So that was really good. But Magum did the art and Chem Goblin here did the programming. And I got to say, that's some impressive stuff, folks. Make sure you're checking it out. Thank you, Chem Goblin. Lovely. Lovely. Too bad Chem Goblin isn't here. Probably should have waited. But I wanted to, like, he posted it in the Discord an hour ago, and I was, like, going through everything, and I was like, oh, I got to play that. I might as well just open up the stream right now, right? And play it in front of everybody. So that was really cool. So this is the GMTK Game Jam. Well, play and vote, baby. I mean, can I just do this really quick? I have to log in and stuff. Okay. All right. I'm not going to do, all right. I'm going to do this a little bit. Everybody vote. I'm going to put this in the gaming section. Everybody vote. All right. Help out Chem Goblin. Vote. I'm going to vote a little bit later. I'll log in with my account, do all this shit later. I have an itch.io account. I got fucking tens of thousands of games on it. So that's really, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's too loud. So, but no, thank you, Chem Goblin. It's really great stuff. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. All right, let me turn this down to my headphones. Folks, welcome to the motherfucking News Underground. I'm your boy, Abandoned Nihilism, the realest motherfucker on Twitch, the hardest motherfucker in the politics section. We're never slacking. Never. Okay? We're gonna hit it hard. We're gonna slam right into the fucking wall. Okay, that's what the fuck we're gonna do. Head first into the fucking wall, full speed. We're doing Gaza, bitch. I do have a treat for you. Welcome back, Borderline Feline, Snowmo, bro. Strategy member, of course, #1 in the chat. Thank you for getting in here right away. We got the regulators in this motherfucker. We got the regulators up in this bitch. Bulletproof Bullet, thank you. Thought I'd make something we can show when Chem joins. Okay. Like a clip? I'm on Smoko, so leave me alone. No, bitch, pass that shit over here. Don't be hogging the Smoko. I am high on marijuana, but my eyes are like this because I have to clean my eyelids and put in eye drops because my my eyes were so dry for so long. I was like doing damage to my fucking eyeballs. So now I gotta like really take care of my eyelids and my moisture in my eyeballs, or else I won't be able to see. So I got a whole regiment. Look at this shit. I put this shit in my eyeballs, dude. It's gel. Oh, let's see if I can get. There we go. See, hold on. Okay, come on, camera. Get it. Let me get. Okay, let me just. You get it. It's gel. Okay, you get it. Who cares? All right, yeah. So we're gonna slam head first into the wall and talk about Gaza. I'm gonna get through. I have a couple other things though, so we are gonna start a little slower. Is that like lubing up your eye? Yes, exactly, 100%. But the problem is like for the first 10 minutes, I'm like, what the? I can't see anything. Like it's got to heat up and like dissipate and get into my shit. It's got to get into all the nooks and crannies. People who say smokos are harmless. His eyes. People on Smoko ain't harmless, man. I tell you what, dude. Wanted to start off with this amazing thing right here. The template. Wanted to start off with this right here.
Dostoevsky.
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 Dostoevsky. I want to say this correctly. So I got this great quote here from Dostoevsky. I don't know if it is. It's the internet. This could literally be anybody. Woke Patriot. Is this real? You know everything about literature, right? So you could just tell me. This whole. This is what from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, probably. But we were just talking about this yesterday, and I just wanted to pat the chat on the back, because we talked about the tolerance paradox. And here's Dostoevsky, adding the flair of a poetic genius, right? But he says tolerance will reach such a level that intelligent people will be banned from thinking so as not to offend the imbeciles. And it really does feel like that. Snope said he didn't say it. Yeah. Well, who did say it? It's really good. Who did? I love that. I love how it's all fake. Everything's fake, dude. I love it. Incorrect. Okay, so who did it? Falsely attributed. But I love that. It's so good though. So who did it? Fake. So it's just literally just some asshole came up with it. Well, how come the asshole doesn't want to put his name on it? That's the thing. It's like, or her name on it. Oh, that's hilarious. I love that. Nothing's real. This is really good, though. This is good stuff. All right, so I can just steal this. Can I? I'm gonna steal this and then put my name on it. Can I do that? I can just do that, right? I'm gonna do that. I'm completely shameless. I don't fucking care. I'm stealing this, putting this in the T-shirt ideas. That would be great. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna blatantly and obviously steal it. Like I won't erase the name completely. I'll just like lazily put my name over it. And I won't even chase a picture or anything. Yeah, that would be funny. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to blatantly and obviously steal this and then use it. I love that. That's so fucking funny to me. Thank you for looking it up, Woke Patriot. Welcome back, by the way. I couldn't do that myself, but how to ask others for it. Can you lube my eyeballs? You just drop them in your eyes, okay? Don't be a pussy. Welcome back, good guy Dari. So the other thing we were talking about, I wasn't sure who did the rose garden until someone pointed out in the chat. And then this meme came up this morning, so I thought, you know what, I got to show this. What did this bitch do to my rose garden? So she said this. She came back from the dead, and she actually said this. This is a real quote. But it's so funny. And they show, the beautiful rose garden. It's this beautiful lawn. They've done so many events from there. It is a little, like, understated, but that's okay, right? It doesn't need to be ostentatious. And then replaced with, like I said before, the Hitlerian cement slab where they literally take the American flag and turn it into drainage grates. Really shocking stuff. You know, I thought Melania's Christmas, White Christmas, was really murderous and insane, but this really is something else. Pave it, pave it. Could we? Is there any way we could get swastikas? I know it's like, you know, I just think it'd be funny, just like ironically, you know, to like have like some swastikas and stuff. So here we go, folks. Saw this last night while scrolling. Here it is. We've talked about this before. The censorship of the internet, the censorship of the MSNBC, even, you know, the shit lib, wine mom, corporate neoliberal supporting media that, you know, at the end of the day, they still are like, you know, I guess killing kids is kind of bad, guys. I mean, Hamas bad, but I don't know about the starving kids stuff. I mean, we're going to fire the host, several hosts that were emphatically talking about it. We're not going to apologize for doing that. Right. We would never admit that we fired Mehdi Hassan and Joyanne Reed because of their advocacy for Palestinian human rights. But in retrospect, maybe they are human beings. So the censorship of those outlets, and of course the censorship of us right now, what we're doing right now. Yeah. But of course, the more successful ones, the Kyle Kulinskis, Democracy Now!, of course, TYT, David Pakman, anybody disagreeing with Trump. And what we're going to see is, I think what we're going to see is some kind of law, some kind of executive order that's basically going to force Twitch and YouTube and all of these big tech companies to employ ombudsmen, is what they call them. Ombudsmen. I don't know where the word came from. Sounds German. Ombudsman. An ombudsman. It's ridiculous. Is an independent official who investigates complaints from the public about their unfair government administration. Right. So it's going to be these Trump, basically partisan police, and they're going to be going through. It's a Dutch thing. Oh, thank you. And they're going to be going through everything, Facebook, anybody that can broadcast anything, you know, YouTube, all the big ones, Facebook. I think I literally just said that. And they're going to be, you know, oh, that's anti-Trump. And of course, they're not going to say that's anti-Trump, make it go away. They're going to say that's not fair, or that's not being fair. That's, you know, you're not being fair or balanced. You know, you're misinformation, right? They're going to give it a different name. But I think that's what this is. This is the start of. This is Rep. Mary Miller. Children should never have access to adult content online. This is something everyone should agree on, yet many sites refuse to enforce strong age verification. It's time to pass a Screen Act to protect our most innocent. So this is opening the door to forcing people to reveal their identities, forcing people to, opening the door to allow the government to tell these digital media companies what they can and can't do on the internet. Welcome back, YouTubing. It's all about control. Yeah, it's never about kids. Anytime you see the kids, what about the kids? Absolutely never about the kids. And in this case, you know, it's Rep. Mary Miller. And statistically, there's a less likely chance that she's a full-blown pedophile. But ironically, from the Republican Party, normally when you see these kind of save the kids legislation, it's from full-blown pedophiles, right? Ironically. But, you know, it's not like women can't be, but statistically, it's less likely. Harry Haas, welcome back. Good timing. We got this link here from your boy, strategy member, I believe. Arrests after asylum hotel protests in England. So I do have a England section, so let me just go ahead and put that in there. I was being lazy. But yeah, we're going to be talking about Keir fucking Starmer, so don't you worry about that. Ribbons, good to see you. So I reported on this literally just yesterday. England, top of the morning. Should I do the incredibly cringy American top of the morning, like British accent? I see RM Brown doing his, and it's beyond cringy. I can't wait. I can't even watch it. Hi, Governor, top of the morning. He does the whole thing, right? RM Brown's amazing. He's a national treasure. But no, I reported on this yesterday. So I wanted to update you. Looks like people were like, that's ridiculous. You guys are bitch made. You know, completely, you're, bending the knee, the Smithsonian bending the knee to this, this pathetic tyrant. I mean, he's not even like a murderous tyrant yet. Like, he's nowhere even close to Stalin, signing a piece of paper and, sending, 100 people to their death just like that, just off on a whim. He's not there yet. And we're already like just preemptively bending the knee, no resistance whatsoever. It was just absolutely pathetic. If you're not sure what the hell I'm talking about, I reported yesterday that the Smithsonian, they have this whole goddamn impeachment, whole exhibit on impeachments, right? And they took Trump out, man. They didn't want to piss off Flumpy Dumpy. What, did he send you an email? Right, so I think this is Nixon right here. Yeah, I think I see pictures of Nixon. Oh, and I love museum exhibits. This makes me want to go to a museum so bad. Aren't museums great, right? With the little sound bubble so you can watch the video. I love museums. Yeah, so this is so they have Donald Trump in here, and then they had like a Donald Trump section. So these are all the, jerk-offs that have been impeached. William Clinton, that's cute. Oh, wow, that's the file cabinet that was broken into at Watergate. Yo, that's fucking crazy. That's fucking cool, dude. They have that. That is epic. Okay, if you don't, you look up the story of Watergate, right? The whole thing was Nixon hired some goons to go steal some information, right? So they break into the office and they jack it open with a crowbar. Oh, wow. That is so cool. But anyway, so good news. People were like, this is ridiculous. I'm not even going to go spit in the face of Smithsonian for preemptively bending the knee to fascism. But apparently Smithsonian will restore Trump's two impeachments exhibit in coming weeks. All right, whatever. Take your time. Well, watch. This is that's the window that Donald Trump is going to do some fucking visit or something. It isn't good news until it's back. Until then, it's just a promise easily ignored. Good point. I'll take it for now, though. Look, here's the thing. Here's the lesson. Squeaky wheels. It works. Okay? Evil tyranny, it wants you to be quiet. It would really, really rather prefer you to just be quiet and ignore the crimes that you're witnessing, big and small. And we hear this on the internet so much if you're on social media. Shut up. Well, what do you care? Blah, 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 blah. Give up. Hear it a lot. But anyway, so I'll take it as a victory. Reddit doesn't forget. Reddit will follow up in 2 weeks. So if these guys don't follow up in 2 weeks, I'll catch it. I'll catch it for sure. So we'll see about that. All right, this is the thing we're going to jump into. Hold it 1 second. I think somebody in the chat, let me see if I can get this correct here, posted this. Who is this? Q. Okay, I don't know who the hell this person is, but this might be them. This might actually be one of the viewers of the News Underground, maybe. If not, either way, we should be emulating this person. This is a great example of the 3-step program that I talk about. We inform ourselves, we sign up, show up, right? And that's exactly what this individual is doing. He's showing up. And then we put in the work like Charlie Kirk. And this man had to put in the work, right? You got to get your ass over there. You got to drive over there, wait in line, bunch of fucking jack-offs around. You don't want to be there. You want to play Anthem on PC, right? Because everyone's just like me. They want to play some shitty third-person shooter before the servers shut off. Right, so this man wants to get home to play Anthem on PC. That's what he wants to do. Maybe on PS4 before the servers shut off. But he decided not to. Got in his car, had to put gas in the bitch. It's just a pain in the ass, right? But he did it. He showed up. Is that it? Is that quick double tap Q? It just says Q ... What am I supposed to know about that, right? Anyway, we should be emulating this, right? This is part of being the template, right? We want to follow Zoran Mamdani. We want to follow the 3-step program. We want to embrace political activism as a way of life. Look, whether you like it or not, right? The battle's coming to your front fucking door. There's no running. There's no running. Okay? Unless you're running to Canada like me. But I'm coming back, dude. I'm coming back. Likely. Wish I wasn't. But it looked like, Anyway, doesn't it, if a battle is inevitable, doesn't it make sense to prepare for it? Right? Doesn't that make sense? Some people are like, nah, I'd still rather not, fuck it. Just, if it comes, it comes, whatever. Some people are like that. And that's how they live their life. And that there's nothing we can do about that. The only thing we can truly change is ourselves and our actions. That's it, right? And hopefully that can inspire others. That's the best we got, man. Okay, this is the quietest fucking video that has ever been published on the internet. So 1 second here while I raise my volume in my headphones and then also raise the volume for you. One more time. Take it from the top.
Hello, I'm Alan Ash, chair of the Sacramento ACLU chapter, which opposes this ordinance because it criminalizes sleeping, sitting, and lying down in another public place, and these are basic necessary human behaviors for the unhoused. This ordinance jailing the unhoused does nothing to solve our...
Right, so that it's basically a law that says you're not allowed to exist outside of a home. If you do not have a home, you're not allowed to exist. Can't sleep anywhere. You're literally not allowed to exist. And that's, he's saying like these are basic human functions and we're criminalizing them.
Housing crisis, but only punishes its victims. Sacramento is the capital of a state facing a housing displacement crisis that has been decades in the making. Local governments across the state have responded to this crisis not by providing the resources needed to address Californians' unmet housing needs, but with discriminatory animus directed at unhoused community members. Local governments have discriminated against unhoused people by harassing, citing, segregating, banishing, and confining them.
Right. And, here's the thing. Then Anna Kasparian comes in and points out, well, what are we going to do about it, though? Right. It's a true menace. And she's right. And that's the frustrating thing about the heat that Anna Kasparian has been getting from the left when she complains about California governance, LA governance, homelessness. You got to live there to know. You just got to live there. And I lived in it, man. I lived right in it, in the Castro, all amongst the drug addicts. I would pass 50 drug addicts on my way to work, just walking from the Castro to downtown. It'd take 15 minutes to walk there. And I swear to God, at least 50 individuals completely blown out of their fucking minds. And I'm talking, 50-year-olds to 19-year-olds. It's an epidemic. It's an absolute epidemic, right? And where Anna's frustration comes in is how the neoliberals campaign versus how they govern when it comes to this crisis. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, you'll be walking home and you'll be stepping over a dude and you're like, I don't know if this guy's alive. Like, there were several instances where I stopped walking and just, crouched down and looked at the face of the individual and their lungs to see if they were even breathing. Straight up, face down on the fucking on the sidewalk, dude. Corpse. Barely breathing. Other incidences, you walk by and there's an ambulance loading somebody up on a bed. Right? So, back to what I was saying, though, it's how the neoliberals govern versus what their promises are. Because their promises are, pie in the sky, we're going to fix it. And then the extra insult to injury, the nice little kidney punch, we give them lots of money. Okay, we spend billions. We tell our neoliberal politicians in the Bay Area, in California, okay, spend billions. We approve it. We vote for it. The resolutions, right? Yes, housing and food and drug programs and all this. And then how do the neoliberals implement it? Piecemeal, partially, half-assed programs, no communication, limitations and means testing all throughout, wildly inadequate. And you realize and find out these motherfuckers are wasting tens of billions of dollars, doing some scattershot Band-Aid solution here and there. And it really starts to piss you the fuck off, okay? And what happens is that people assume that what the neoliberals are doing is progressivism, that these are the best ideas that the left can come up with. So in reaction, they get so sick of it in reaction. And we're talking about people who care about human rights. We're talking about people that, they don't want to see ICE kidnap people, right? But it gets so bad, it gets so insanely frustrating, and you see such little movement from the neoliberal leadership. People desperately, out of desperation, start voting conservative. And of course, what's the conservative plan? Put them on a plane and ship them off to fucking El Salvador, right? Like, shoot them with a laser beam that disintegrates them into dust, right? Whatever sick fantasy the conservatives can come up with, that's their solution. Right. So it's a very sticky situation, right? Because to be someone who's representing the ACLU, who's just like, I don't want to talk about politics per se. I just want to point out I care about human rights, and I don't want to see, people who are human beings who have to sleep, getting tickets, their dismal life are getting worse. Like you get $100 ticket because you fell asleep in the park. And like you're not even busted with drugs. You don't have any open containers. You're not even drinking alcohol, right? You're a human being, and you're like, okay, I sleep here now. I don't have a bed. I got to go to sleep. And then you wake up and fucking Officer Tiddlyfuck is writing you up a ticket for daring to exist outside of a home at 3:00 in the morning, right? It's like, I got no fucking choice. You think I don't want to be in a bed? So it's a very complex situation, and it's like, this is why we need characters like Zoran Mamdani and frankly activists like this who are out there pushing it, because we not only do we have to defeat the fascists who are just like disintegrate the homeless, turn them into liquid slurry so that I can drink them, but we also have to fight the neoliberal establishment that pretends to be progressive, that emulates the language of progressivism, and then implements fucking whoa, that was loud. I'm sorry, I did it to you. I told myself don't touch the soundboard because the volume's really loud, but he did it anyway. Did that wake you up? Right, but the progressive left, the democratic socialist left, has to also, not only are they fighting the fascists, but they also have to fight the neoliberal establishment. Right, and it makes this very, very difficult to be an activist on the left. That doesn't mean we don't fight. That doesn't mean we don't do it because it's hard. Right, it just means we have to elevate our game to Mamdani levels to be successful. Right, we got to come correct, straight up, no bullshit. Right? No excuses. We either come correct or we continue to lose.
Withholding life-saving public services from them and targeting the organizations that try to help them. These cruel policies deprive people of necessary bodily requirements like rest, sleep, and sanitation, separate them from life-saving resources like food, water, and health care, segregate them.
And let me just point out, if you're not saving money, depriving people of food and a place to take a poop, okay, all you're doing is exacerbating disease and health issues that you're going to have to pay for at the emergency room. People who have yeast infections and all kinds of things because they're wearing underwear, clothes that haven't been washed in months, et cetera, lice and scabies and fucking Lyme disease, all kinds of crazy shit that you get from people being starved, malnutritioned, and no sanitation, right? Then if you want to tell me, well, okay, then the next step is to stop providing health care, I'm going to straight up point out that you're a fucking monster, okay? And that my granddad used to do something to monsters like you back in the old World War II days, right? What's being talked about today? Just the usual. Liberty, fucking democracy, fucking political activism, fucking getting shit done, stomping some motherfucking Nazis. You know, the usual. We're going to slam our heads directly into Gaza, though, in a couple minutes. But it's going to be, we're going to start off with a Slavoj Žižek interview. Slavo motherfucking. Wrong. Shouldn't have done that. I really need to stop. Okay.
Often unsanitary and abusive mass shelters and jails away from family,
Slavoj
loved
Žižek.
ones, and animal companions. These tactics threaten the health, well-being, and lives of unhoused people. All levels of government must do their part to end the violently discriminatory policies and practices proliferating across California. As the state capital, Sacramento should be a leader in compassionate policies, providing resources, not a leader in directing discriminatory animus at unhoused community members. Please reject this purely punitive ordinance and choose compassion for all the members of our Sacramento community. Thank you.
Choose compassion. Choose compassion. Look, no, it's a great message. I agree with it. You know, rhetorically, of course, but you know, and that's how we need to be coming from a place of compassion. We need to be coming from a place of human rights, right? We need to be coming from that place, right? But let's never expect our opponents, our enemies, to give us anything, right? We are dealing with ruthless sociopaths. Ruthless. If you could just step into their mind just for 5 minutes, you would be horrified. Okay, your average Ted Cruz. Okay, a Randy Fine. Hop into Randy Fine's mind for 5 minutes. Horrified. Horrified. All right, so here it is, Slavoj Žižek, folks. Owen Jones as well over here, and look at the setup. I love the whole thing. The whole thing. What's up with the lights though, yo? What the is going on with these? I'd be like, yo, can we shut these off? I'm baking here, okay? I feel like a rotisserie chicken. What the fuck are these lights for? Right? I feel like I should be glistening and golden and red and tender and ready to be taken off and eaten immediately. Anyway, love the set. Especially the checkerboard. But anyway, Slavoj Žižek, good luck understanding what the fuck he's saying. The most important stuff that he talks about, though, is the left. And the thumbnail, I don't know how to bring up the thumbnail, but basically the thumbnail says, Slavoj Žižek says the left should retreat. And I'm like, triggered. What the fuck are you talking about? Retreat? How far can we retreat? Right? We're so retreated. We're like up the abdomen. You know what I mean? You know, can a turtle tuck into its shell even further? Right. So, but this is Slavoj Žižek. Okay, he's not on our level, the dumb levels. The chat isn't dumb. He's not on my level. Okay, he's not on the dumb level. When he says something like retreat, he might be talking about who knows. So it's a 20-minute conversation. Owen Jones, Slavoj Žižek. It's Palestine. It's good stuff. We're going to watch the whole thing because that's how we do things here. I'm a big Slavoj Žižek fan. I'm still not sure what his goddamn political ideology is. It's because he'll make jokes about like Stalinism and like in a positive way. And then he'll point out that lefties that, slavishly defend Stalinism are ridiculous. So it's like, yeah, okay. The guy's a fucking genius. It's clear. And you know the thing that I love most about Slavoj Žižek? I can barely understand what he's talking about, what's happening, but his writing is clear as water. I swear to God, he writes in a clear, eloquent, direct, to the point. I mean, it's so good. His writing is amazing. I have no problem reading. I could read page and page and page. Nothing, no problem. I can barely do 5 minutes before I'm like, whoa, hold on, back it up. What exactly does this guy say? It's Zizek time, baby. It's Zizek time with a bonus Owen Jones. Let's get to it now.
Are you surprised?
Who's this being done by? How To Academy. Okay.
I want to talk about Palestine. Are you surprised that we've had 18 months?
Yeah, salty bread. And I got to say, okay, this is the last time I pause, okay? It's the last time I pause. Okay, I'm going to give myself 2 more pauses. I get 3 pauses. I've already used 1. Promise. But just real quick, salty bread, I can never tell when this guy's being jokey or like, because he's actually very charismatic and very jovial in this dark cynical world that he talks about. Anyway, I can never tell when this guy's being sarcastic. I can't really tell. Because like his interview with Bastani from Novara Media, it was very pro-commie, comrade this, very pro-Stalin. His conversation with Aaron Bastani from Novara Media. So I'm like, okay, is this guy a fucking Stalinist? But then you'll hear very early, because I listened to the first 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, yeah, we're doing the whole thing. I heard very early he's making jokes on leftists who are Stalinists. So I don't fucking know. Yeah, he was joking about sending people to the gulags and stuff with Bastani. Check out the Slavoj Žižek Bastani interview. Great stuff. Okay, no more pause. I got 2 pauses, and that's it. So I got to use them carefully. Hold me to it, chat. Hold me to it. Let's get to it.
A live-streamed genocide. Some of the worst imaginable atrocities. Gaza wiped from the face of the earth. 93% of homes damaged or destroyed. Every hospital attacked.
Slavo.
83% of plant life destroyed. Agriculture raised. Starvation, deliberate starvation,
not gonna
backed up by
hold you to
genocidal
it.
rhetoric.
Damn it.
And yet the vast majority of the media and political establishments across the West will not call out a crime for what it is. I mean, we've seen war crimes in Iraq and elsewhere. This is of a different order.
Yeah,
Do you not
I
think?
agree with that.
Are you surprised?
bigger.
Do you find that shocking in some way?
Even in the shit-
even if we
even the
understand
shit
the
that's happening
dynamics,
in
the power
Africa.
dynamics, the context, in a sense, it's not. Maybe we're shocked but not surprised. What do you think?
I think you provided now the correct description.
Yeah, shocked but not surprised.
I am not surprised. I saw it coming. This tendency in Zionism has a long history, as you maybe know better than me. The key is already provided by a quite courageous, wonderful text, probably know it, in 46, I think. New York Times published a 1-page advertisement signed by big Jewish names like Einstein, Hannah Arendt, and so on, claiming that, how is it called, the
get the name.
predecessor of Likud party at that point, that be careful, they are a new form of Nazism. So, no, I'm not surprised, but I think we should, and that's why I admire your podcasts. I am proud to be here with you. We have to keep that sense of urgency. We should be not surprised by shocked again and again, because the tendency today on the left and on the right is to normalize this horror. You know, you have right-wing normalizers. I know from once you were part of it, continental Europe, Meloni and others, they don't simply rehabilitate fascism. They just say, you know, we have to look at it objectively. Yes, there were some excesses, but, and so on. And then you now also have, but I will not talk about them, some crazy pseudo-leftist rehabilitations, even of Stalin and so on. So we have to keep alive this shock. Don't normalize it. Because you describe this in your podcasts, that's, for me, I know I will now sound as an old-fashioned moralist, but what the hell? Why not? You know that we are approaching a stage where even the old hypocrisy has gone. When Israel or Trump, when they do something terrifying, they even don't try to justify it through some complex dynamic.
I've talked about this.
They simply do it.
They just do it.
What is, again, sorry,
and it's
if I
reported,
repeat
and
all the
then
time
on to the
this
next thing.
As you pointed out in many of your podcasts, how problematic even their metaphors or historical references that they use to justify what they are doing.
Amalek,
I mean,
right.
It's terrifying. For example, not only did Netanyahu a couple of times refer to
Salty
Gaza,
bread. We'll talk about
Palestinians
Hamas
as Amaleks.
after this, okay?
But now even the Supreme Court make a very obscure decision where they claim that this parallel with Amaleks means that if Israel is confronting someone who is today like Amalek's,
Okay.
then basically they say we can do the Holocaust, we can kill them all.
Well, to
Yeah.
be clear with the story of Amalek,
Total
Amalek attacked the
dehumanization.
Israelites, and it's the one,
Which is madness.
Yeah.
well, the one
Sorry.
time when the Israelites
Yes,
were
but
permitted to kill
sorry,
every
but,
man, woman, child, and
in
livestock.
contrast to many of
I love
today's
Slavo. I love him.
either Jews or Christians, I, as an atheist Christian, as I define myself,
Atheist
I
Christian.
actually read at least parts of the Bible.
Only Slavo.
Please go and look at that part. It's horror. Israel was wandering for 40 years on Sinai. Then they are up on the mountain and see down there is a nice valley with people who were the Amalek. And then
It's absurd.
who appears? Jehovah,
Hi.
yeah, who said, go down, kill them all. Children, animals, everybody.
babies.
And then to
Kill
be
their
honest,
goats.
Joshua is
Can we eat the
slightly
goats?
surprised. He says, but wait a minute, we came here, they didn't do us anything, can we, and so on. And Jehovah insisted, no, you have to do it, and so on. I mean, don't you find a little bit strange to refer today
The fuck is
to
the
this
mic placement?
example?
The
But
fuck
I
are these
think
mics?
they're doing it on purpose. What you said about here, I'm even maybe more of a pessimist. It's a refined distinction, but nonetheless. I think that it's not so much that the majority don't know. They know, but they pretend that or act as if they don't know.
Yeah,
we
sure.
all know, even the right-wing media, or
They know.
most pro-Zionists, that
It's
horrible
genocide.
things are
It's an ethnic
happening,
cleansing. You know.
not only in Gaza, from the beginning.
All right, I'm using one of my pauses. All right, I talk about this quite a bit, but they absolutely know, and that's why one of the questions I like to ask the pro-Zionist people that come into the chat is, you know, what is your excuse going to be? Like this would be really the only question I'd want to ask Barry Weiss, which is, you know, what are you going to be? What are you going to say when the ethnic cleansing is complete? Right. Okay. Yeah. You don't want to admit, you don't want to say that that's what's happening. We all know that that's what's happening. So, you know, give me a little taste of the excuse that you're going to be making when Israel completes this project, takes over all of Palestine, whatever they do with the people, whatever they do. Right. You know, there's a couple directions they could go in there, but what are you going to say? Because there's like, if a nuke was dropped, if Israel dropped a nuke on the West Bank, Barry Weiss, the very next day, Barry Weiss would be out in front of a camera to justify it, to say it was a good thing, to say it was okay. America did it in Japan, et cetera, right? So we know where she's coming from. And that's really the only question I would have for her, though, which is like, okay, what are you going to say when they complete the project? Because we, just like Slavo says, we all know, even they know, you know, they're just shameless. You know, there are some true believers that are delusional, of course, but a grand majority of them are there for the ching-ching, and they know what they have to say, and they've thrown their morals aside years ago. The death of millions doesn't really bother them. You know, what would bother them is, of course, any kind of punishment or retribution or consequences for having these opinions. They would have a big problem with that, of course.
I insist that West Bank is the key, and so on. But, you know, we just decided to ignore it, and why this horrifies me? Because, very briefly, why do I define myself? It will sound as a joke, I repeat it all the time, but it's not. Why do I define myself as moderately conservative communist? Because I think that the big problems that we are confronting today, ecology, world war, artificial intelligence, every idiot should know, and we all know it, that we can only cope seriously with these problems in a global approach. That's for me communism, not a new Stalin Politburo, but serious global cooperation. The example that I like to use is, you remember, now it's already 3 or 4 years ago, when in That area,
Globalization,
Vancouver,
cooperation
Seattle, temperatures reached 50
neoliberal
degrees Celsius.
economics.
For a couple of days, Vancouver, Seattle were more hot than the usual suspects, that is to say, Emirates and that part. Now, can you blame them? No. Locally there, they had a pretty consistent ecological, they were definitely not worse than others. We know what's the problem. The circulation of air around northern pole is deeply disturbed. That's why even in northern Russia,
change.
Siberia, that Arctic coast, temperatures in the last year are reaching 35 degrees and so on. So you absolutely cannot, it's meaningless to approach it as a local problem.
Right, yes.
We need global approach.
Yeah.
And do you agree with here, or do I
That's
go
true.
too far? What do I mean by moderately conservative? I'm sick, now comes the problematic part. I'm sick and tired of these leftists fascinated by the big events, you know, 1 million people on Tahrir Square and so on. This doesn't fascinate me. My obsession is always the morning after. Okay, let's look 3 months later when the situation returns
Talking
to
about big
normal.
moments in leftist revolutionary history.
What's the situation of so-called ordinary people? That's why my old
What
joke,
actually
maybe you know it,
changes?
that film V for Vendetta. My usual joke was, it's in my tasteless style,
Hollywood
I would
movies.
sell my mother into slavery to see V for Vendetta Part 2. Because at the end, people take over. Nice, but what will happen then?
Yes,
What will they
yes.
do? I think that
Remember Maximilian
what
Robespierre?
Trump got correctly, and that gives me hope for us, is that he saw that this neoliberalism in the form of liberal democratic.
Who saw that? Hold on.
He saw correctly, and that gives me hope.
That's what Trump, okay.
What Trump got correctly, and that gives me hope for us, is that he saw that this neoliberalism in the form of liberal democratic welfare state, whatever, that its time it's over. You know who even saw this clearly? Francis Fukuyama himself. That's why in the last election he advocated voting for Bernie Sanders, you know. So now I will go to provoke you maybe too far. I would say that the left first has to stop this fascination with old-fashioned subversion. Events, you demonstrate on the street, you break windows, you make obscene gestures, and so on. Sorry, the right has taken this from us, inclusive, as I repeat in every of my appearances here.
No.
For example, the 6th of January. My friends were crying. They were telling me, my
hell
God,
they have.
a large group of people invading the seat of power, Congress. We should be doing this. No, they are doing this. And I am here for what? First, that's why I quote in that book, Zero Ground or What, although I'm very critical, The Rise of Lenin, Lenin's wonderful text from 1922 on climbing a mountain, when he said, this is a model of revolutionary process, when you climb a mountain and you see halfway that you got stuck, you don't just stand there and think about it. You must retreat down to the zero level. And this is what the left should do today.
Well, I mean, you said one thing is clear with his
Okay,
victory,
but where?
Trump,
How?
as
What
well
does
as
that
with the
even
rise
look
of
like?
the popular.
What is so no resistance? We retreat. I don't even. So what does that even mean? Are we collecting our strength then? Because in his example, sure, yeah, you retreat, but then you move to a different position and then start climbing again. Surely.
That's right, in Europe, the left has reached its 0 point. It will have to reinvent itself thoroughly or it will perish.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, I mean, when the
he's
left
talking about
re-emerged as a
reinvention.
political force in the West in the mid-2010s, you got Bernie Sanders, Corbynism,
Yeah.
you got Syriza, you got Podemos and all the rest of it, and they all crashed to some degree. But, I mean, it's an optimistic... You know, when Barry Goldwater, the right-wing
I
Republican...
remember, I'm old enough.
Well,
yeah.
indeed. So you'll remember, I mean, that was
Exactly
1964, he got
smashed.
thrashed by LBJ. And people then in 1980 all said about Reagan's victory that Goldwater won. It just took
People are
16 years
leaving.
to count the votes. And I suppose, Murray, my question is this, because the left had been so comprehensively destroyed in the 1980s for a range of reasons, the end of history, as Francis Fukuyama put it, with the end of the Cold War, Thatcherism, the defeats of the Labour movement, and we were defined by what we were against, not what we were for, and we had to reconstruct a vision of what being on the left meant. And, you know, so when Sanders and Corbyn and all the rest appeared, we didn't have that foundation. So they had to do the intellectual foundations at the same time as running for power. So there's an optimistic sense, an optimistic look of kind of reading.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
the first wave. That was our Goldwater moment, and maybe we'll have our Reagan moment in the years to come.
But I think that these leftist attempts always, nonetheless,
WW86. I think I agree with most of that. Yeah.
the mainstream liberal democratic order reinventing itself, somehow take it over. That's why, another shock for you, I'm really
Okay, hold on. I missed some of that. Okay, this is really critical to me. I'm sorry.
ended up in think that these leftist attempts always nonetheless ended up in the mainstream liberal democratic order reinventing itself, somehow take it over. That's why, another shock for you, I'm really opposed to the legacy of 68. Because I think that if you look at the greatest
Talking about the hippies and the anti-war movement in the 60s, is that what he's talking about?
success of counter-revolution,
The Rainbow Brigade or whatever?
sorry for use this term, it's how the system appropriated the legacy of the 68.
Yeah, sure.
What
yeah.
was the 68 program, to simplify it? Against this manual factory labor, more creative work, then against alienated universities, more concrete
No strategy.
education.
No. Slavo's a fucking genius, okay? Like if you're not, there's a very good chance if you're bouncing off it and you're not understanding it, or you're like disagreeing and you're not quite sure, there's a very good chance that maybe you're not quite understanding it. Seriously.
And sexual liberation.
You're tubing, great
We got
great
it,
point, you
but
know,
in a
great point.
terrifying form. You no longer have. Today we are getting this with what
Sorry,
Trump
backing it up just a little
creative
bit.
work, then against alienated universities, more concrete education, sexual liberation. We got it, but in a terrifying form. You no longer have. Today we are getting this with what Trump is doing. No, we don't need alienated humanities, as you know here, Kingston, Dundee, cancelling. We need this pragmatic education, quick courses to deal with real problems. This is for me the formula of a catastrophe, because you know where ideology works. What's the duty of us philosophers? No, we are often idiots, not to provide answers, but to see when people perceive a problem, we live in a crisis, to ask, what if the way we perceive a problem is part of a problem? Where is really the problem? And you don't get this from this pragmatic approach. Then, against factory work, alienated, serial work, now we are getting precarious work, which is something much more horrible. It's, I think, would you agree, maybe the greatest neo-capitalist invention. You know why? Because in classical factory work, you at least knew the boss is there, I'm here, alienated working class, and I have certain basic safety. You know, like you may be exploited, blah, 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 but you have usually some kind of healthcare, retirement, and so on. With precarious work, first, the ideology is that you are treated as a small capitalist, like Uber driver. Uber will say, we are not exploiting you. You offer something on the market. You own your own means of production. We just mediate between you and the potential public, those who want your services. So what I want to say is that the whole situation is deeply mystified because A, you are presented as a small capitalist, and there is already at a formal level precluded that you will have solidarity with other Uber drivers. No, they are your competitors. And the one who is really screwing you, exploiting you, claims, I'm nothing, I'm just mediating and so on. So this is the second thing. So university, I think that what we need today more than ever are precisely good old-fashioned alienated universities. The last thing, sexuality. Yes, we get free sexuality today, but it's sexuality, and I don't use this term in just old-fashioned Marxist way as a jargon. We got commodified sexuality, you know, in what sense? I find, sorry, here I'm incurably romantic. Sorry for say this. I believe in love. What do I mean by this? As I always repeat, it's always in the media, if you know
he's right.
why you love somebody, then it's not love. Love is, for example, you are in love, sorry, from my male chauvinist perspective, with a woman, and you say, I like her ears, her eyes, legs, whatever. But other people see the same woman, and they don't find anything special in her eyes, her ears. You know, love is the paradox that you see why you love her only when you already are in love. But today's culture more and more moves to this much more vulgar, pragmatic approach. This is the whole point of dating, like you like, you need...
I would really like Owen Jones to come back to the mountain, though. Okay? All right, we need to retreat. What does that mean? What does that look like? What are you talking about? You criticize political activism. You criticize leftists wanting to get in the streets and disrupt. And then he lumps in nonviolent civil disobedience with breaking windows. He just, you know, casually lumps those two together as if they're the same thing, you know, because there is different kinds of protesting. There's different ways to protest. But he just classifies the whole thing. And look, you know, you're on, you know, 20-minute interview. All right, I get it. Okay, you can't be covering every single fucking thing. You can generalize. But then he says, you know, he makes this mountain analogy. I think he was quoting Fukuyama, who was saying, you know, when you're climbing, you gotta sometimes, you know, when you get stuck when you're climbing up a mountain, sometimes you need to back out and retreat. And then he stopped with his analogy, started talking about V for Vendetta or some shit. And it's like, okay, wait a minute. What does that look like then? Because like I said earlier, isn't the idea to reposition and then start climbing again? Right? We don't just hang out at the summit. We don't give up, right? Just because the right did January 6th, we're no longer protesting. Like, we got to, you know, Owen Jones needs to roll it back here. And honestly, this is kind of lazy journalism here from Owen Jones. Because, like, we got to challenge him on this, okay? Like, I understand, like, when you're interviewing Slavoj Žižek, you better be prepared to sit there quietly while this motherfucker goes on. Okay, that's part of the game with Slavoj Žižek. But interject, dude. I mean, can we, like, just doubling back to the mountain, right? So we come back to the summit and we reposition. And then we start climbing again, right, Slavo? Like, where's that question? I fucking need that question. This bit is part of a longer interview, by the way. True. This is, you know. So maybe they do come back to the mountain there. I will in my own time watch the whole thing. We're gonna finish this video, but I will in my own time watch the whole interview because we got to come back to the motherfucking mountain. What if we're gonna poo-poo nonviolent civil disobedience? In this case, you're going to classify all civil disobedience as violent. We're going to poo-poo that. We're going to make a mountain analogy, which is, you know, kind of clever and, you know, very interesting because it's very true. You know, sometimes you're trying a big project, you know, you're at the summit, you go in one direction, that doesn't work. it makes sense to retreat. You don't stand there and just fail, and die because you just simply refuse to look back. So all these things make sense, right? But like, bro, we got to talk about, we're not hanging out at the summit. If my only choice is to try and climb and die, or stay at the summit and rot, I'm going to try to climb. Okay, right? I mean, to me that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Is that type of partner? Maybe you need more partner, polyamory, and so on.
Man, and now we're
No,
talking
I
about
think that
fucking sex.
something
I don't
quite
know, man.
terrifying
I don't
is
know.
happening also in the domain of sexuality. So, to finish, I speak too much. I see evil in your gaze.
No,
And you
I
are
just
right.
think on quite-
No,
we've just gone on quite a journey.
What? Sorry to
Quite a
repeat
journey.
an old joke, but I
get
think
back to the mountain.
Yeah, but I think it's an old story I published 5 to 10 years ago in Guardian. But when I was asked, is romance a live romance today? I try to imagine the way we are moving now.
Who
Sorry if you know
cares?
this story. How would it seem? So very soon, it already is sex. And I constructed what I'm quite proud of.
These are
That's
all
why I'm
important
repeating the
subjects,
story.
okay.
Let's say I'm flirting with somebody, and then we decide, okay, let's
What
do
does
it the
this have
usual
to do with
bullshit, your
protesting?
place or mine. And then I come to the date with she comes with her electric plastic dildo penis. I come with my, there is a terrible name, I don't even know, I repressed it, for this kind of a big plastic vagina where you can regulate how much it squeezes you. And so now where is sex here? I almost like the idea, although I didn't do it with anybody. We sit down, we connect to electricity both machines, we put dildo into that vaginal machine, and we listen, it works. It's absolute freedom. The machines are enjoying for us, and with the lady, I can talk about philosophy, movies, and so on. And maybe a miracle happens. You know what would be a miracle? While I'm serving her or she me tea or whatever, our hands touch by mistake. We look at each other and we go to bed, but it's totally without this superego pressure, It's real free. You know where I would also...
Looping back, it is kind of an interesting philosophical idea of like letting machines do everything for us, and then like taking that to a super extreme of like literally letting machines pleasure themselves for us, and they're pleasuring themselves while he's discussing philosophy. We're almost done. We got like 30 seconds left of this. Okay, it is like if I was writing a book and I'm writing down ideas for things, right? But it is kind of an interesting idea when I actually think about it, right? Is this supposed to, because like when I see that, I'm horrified. Is Slavoj Žižek saying like, I can't wait for that? That's great. I can't wait to hook my brain up to some machine dildo thing pleasuring a robot vagina. Can we please get back to the mountain, Dad? I don't want to talk about dildo vaginas anymore, Dad. Please stop.
Like to practice this. That's a new idea that came to me. I'm not just repeating myself. With this nonsensical wars...
So this is not original. He's not off the cuff. This is something he's thought about quite a bit. Good to know. Good to know.
Which are becoming like my type of sex that I described. Namely, basically, wars are de facto becoming on the side of the warrior, not his, her, their
Welcome back,
victims.
Flippy Floppy.
Like video games, drones. Do you know that in Russia and Ukraine...
No, make it stop. We're good. I'm good, dog. No, we're good, man. All right. Thank you, Slavoj Žižek, for... This happens I think this is like the second or third time that I'm like, I love this guy. He's great. And then I watch it with everybody, and I'm like, I'm way more confused. Can we get back to the mountain? What about social, activism? What about disrupt? How do we fight right? We're not concluding that the right has won and then that's it, right? That's obviously not the conclusion here. I don't know, dog. We started by talking about horrific Gaza and we ended with robot vagina dildos, okay? Well, that's Slavoj Žižek, folks. There you go. Thank you so much, Slavoj Žižek. Appreciate the nightmares. Thank you. All right. Well, that was interesting. 1 hour later, here we are. We're going to slam our head directly into Gaza now. And no one wants that. I'm sorry, folks. We're going to do it, and we're just going to blast through it. And yes, trigger warning. Let the man spit. No, spit away, dude. Spit away. But honestly, I'm not blaming Slavoj Žižek at all, because that's exactly what is expected of Slavoj Žižek, right? The deviations, the tangents, I'm blaming Owen Jones, who was fucking. I don't think he was like blanking out. Even Slavoj Žižek was saying, like, I can see from your eyes that you're glazing over. So he's not even paying attention to what Slavoj Žižek is saying. I think he was looking at his little iPad there, waiting for the next question. He was waiting for an opportunity to ask another question, when he should have been engaging with the metaphor. And like I said, like, if I was sitting in that chair, we would have been talking about the mountain. Like, as soon as we get to the robot vaginas, I'd be like, okay, yeah, back to the mountain. Oh yeah, fascinating sex, robot sex. It's really great. But back to your mountain analogy. Back to how the left combats the right, which has kind of taken this mantle as dissent and patriotic. Social resistance, or political resistance, and how do we take that back, you got to steer the conversation a little bit, dude. The guy was talking about robot fucking penises. Come on, man. Yeah, smash. That was really something, right? If people are able to follow thinking of a philosopher, the ideas may lead to different thinking about tactics, and that's how it works for me. No, I mean, like I said, it wasn't just vulgarity. He wasn't just talking about robot vagina penises just to be sick and disgusting like I would, right? Like he was making this really interesting kind of metaphor about, human beings kind of, having, letting machines handle things to such an extent that they're, I think that's what he was getting at. Either way, it's an interesting idea. So no, he's fucking brilliant, but not entirely sure the appeal outside of a deep academic circles. Well, so here's the thing. It's like we have philosophers, we have these big thinkers, and they're very important, and they should absolutely do what they need to do. But if the whole world were a group of philosophers, it would be nothing but fascism and tyranny everywhere, right? Because we need the people who are willing to move forward. We need people that are willing to. All right, we're not going to have a 4-hour discussion about the definition of anything. We're going to destroy this tyranny that is destroying our lives actively every single day. We're gonna take an action. We're gonna move forward. We're not gonna hesitate. Because it could be the right move, it could be the wrong move, but you need to move, right? And if you make a mistake, you got to pivot. Just you're climbing that mountain. We're not gonna make it here. We got to move to the left. We got to move to the right. So absolutely, we got to be flexible. The Pervert's Guide to Ideology. That sounds great. Can you put the trailer into the cinema section? All right, folks, let's have fun. Yay. Let's go to Gaza. I wanted to point this out because I bring this up quite a bit. He's not joking. Ain't no way he's joking about that. But no, I wanted to, because I talk about this quite a bit, and it's like, it's one of the more kind of conspiratorial things that I bring up, right? But it's so true. It's so true. And I was shocked to find out that there's a whole Wikipedia covering Israeli support for Hamas. Basically, the basic gist is that Bibi Netanyahu, he is not a political rookie. The man is, it's fair to say he's, I don't know about genius, right? Probably going too far. But the man is extremely skilled at manipulating politics locally, in local Israeli politics, but also globally. Now, to be fair, it's on easy mode for him, right? With the UK and the United States and Germany having their own political reasons to want to, back Israel up no matter what it does, right? So it is kind of geopolitics on easy mode. Bibi Netanyahu has an easier time than, any country in Africa, we'll say, right? In terms of like, hey, United States, help me out. Give me this, give me that, right? So it's geopolitics on easy mode. But with that said, he's an expert at manipulating that situation that he's in. Things are of course changing as the ethnic cleansing continues, but it is interesting to see how people are still holding on, right, to this like, well, if we just continue to ignore it and somehow it'll fix itself one day, right? But anyway, like I said before here, I was fascinated to see that there's a whole Wikipedia article here covering the connections. And there's a lot here, okay? We got Israeli backing of Qatar sending millions of dollars to Gaza, use of Hamas to undermine Palestinian Authority. Bibi Netanyahu bragged about this. In an interview with Politico, here's one example. In an interview with Politico in 2023, former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert said that, quote unquote, in the last 15 years, Israel did everything to downgrade the Palestinian Authority and to boost Hamas. So that's just one example here. Here's a quote from Bibi Netanyahu himself. Quote unquote, anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. This is part of our strategy to isolate the Palestinians in Gaza from the Palestinians in the West Bank. Okay, this was in 2019. So, stand firm for what you believe in. Stand for human rights. Know that this is a very, very nasty political, pseudo-religious, situation. But know that standing on the side of human rights is the right thing. Even if you can't answer every "but Hamas gotcha," even if you can't, get into that. And, someone in the chat early in the Zizek video brought up Hamas and all that. And it's like, I'm not a fan of Hamas. But, it's like, and I really do blame Hassan and other leftist commentators, the Humanist Report and others, for not taking the time to point out the failures of Hamas, how Hamas is basically holding the Palestinians hostage, to really get in and criticize Hamas, right? Because they're, in a way, they're being manipulated by Israel because they're like, well, we don't want to do that because then we would be seen as, going along with Israeli propaganda with the "but Hamas" question. But honestly, no, the left is dropping the ball here. Hassan is dropping the ball here. And, you're making it easy for the Ethan Kleins, the bad actors of the world, to muddy up this conversation, because the left needs a very firm opinion on Hamas. And that opinion needs to be, they have to go. Now, obviously, the way that bombing literally every building, annihilating children, bombing tents, that's not how you actually eliminate Hamas. You eliminate Hamas by creating a safe and secure society, right? And you would have to do that with a coalition that is willing to occupy that region to provide that safety and security while also rebuilding, feeding everybody, educating everybody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We did it in Japan. We did it in Germany after World War II. It's not impossible. We know how to do it. We have the resources, et cetera, et cetera. What we don't have is the motivation. Okay, we know, the countries that are involved in funding this genocide know that there are alternatives, but this is the direction. Do you think the U.S. State Department doesn't know how to read Wikipedia? Right? You think the CIA and all these other, agencies and military that's supporting Israel, they don't know that Bibi Netanyahu, that this is the strategy? They don't know that? They know it's the strategy. They're not interested in creating peace. They're interested in creating a situation where it seems like ethnic cleansing is the only solution. So, Lexi Boom Boom, you're being dishonest. That's totally ridiculous. But the left obviously, but the left disagrees with what Hamas is doing, but they have a hard time articulating that because they don't want to be seen and they don't want to feel like they're repeating Israeli propaganda and lies. And this is where the failure of Hassan comes in and other leftists out there, because they're not articulating that context, that no, there's a way to support the Palestinian people without redefining Hamas as some kind of legitimate resistance, when it's very obvious that they're basically holding this population hostage. They're terrible at governance. What did they do? What did they do just recently? Showed screenshots and video of one of the few hostages that are still alive digging his own fucking grave, and he was completely skeletal because they're starving him. So that's Hamas. That's your resistance. Wow, right? Because it's the obvious move is to completely disarm yourself. If you cared about the Palestinian people, you would remove this piece off the chessboard for Bibi Netanyahu, this boogeyman, right? And he would have to concoct an entirely new boogeyman. It would be incredibly difficult if Hamas put all their weapons in a pile and said, "We give up, we disband, we don't exist as an organization anymore." It would make Bibi, like, he would be in crisis mode. He would be in crisis mode because he would have to concoct a brand new boogeyman, a brand new justification to finish what's happening in the West Bank and, of course, finish the job in the Gaza Strip. But they don't do that. Why? Because it's power, it's control, it's this they want to be the Taliban, right? They, to the last man, they're basically a death cult. You know, that's like, no, the only way you're going to get rid of us is if you kill every single Palestinian, and we'll watch the whole thing happen. So Hassan and others have a really hard time articulating that, and they kind of glaze over it, and it leaves the door wide open for bad actors like Ethan Klein and others to fill it with a bunch of propaganda. Oh, you support Hamas. When you say from the river to the sea, that's what you're saying. And it gives them legitimacy because, yeah, they don't really have a proper response for but Hamas. They try to kind of softly say that it's a legitimate resistance when it stone cold isn't. They're not. They're useful idiot boogeymen who were installed by Bibi Netanyahu because they're so hard-headed, because they're a bunch of theocratic knuckleheads who absolutely refuse to pivot or change in the face of total annihilation, right? As dumb as it gets. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like, Bibi Netanyahu should be sending these guys checks, right? Boogeymen of the century. Everything you need to justify an ethnic cleansing, there's Hamas. So the left cannot be hung up in the barbed wire of trying to defend this absolute dismal failure of a political organization, right? They can't govern. They don't give a shit about their own people. They don't distribute food. They steal food. But the interesting case about the stealing the food thing, Israel, I don't know if you heard this, they hired a bunch of fucking thugs. They hired a bunch of fucking mercenaries from some other Arab country to masquerade as Hamas and steal food. Steal food. So some of the cases where, like, the food is getting into Gaza and then it's held up by gunmen and then taken somewhere, it's Israeli mercenaries doing it, right? To further make the problem look bad. Yeah, Harry Haas. So hopefully I've laid that out, hopefully. But, once again, stand firm on human rights. It's not a conspiracy theory. Israel is absolutely implementing things like this, like literally supporting a terrorist organization to divide and conquer the Palestinians, and they fucking brag about it. Bibi Netanyahu gets on stage and gets a round of applause. Okay? They're doing it right in front of us, right? Mr. Max here, who does not give Elon Musk $5 a month because he's a fucking baller. He's got a big dick. I'm sorry. I just, I see that blue checkpoint. I'm dinging you, dude. I'm dinging your ass. Anyway, Max over here. I agree. Whoa, dude. Sorry. Well, Slavoj Žižek gets to do it. I can't do it. Shut up. Anyway, I basically agree with his point of view here. He says, if you're wondering why, quote unquote, the dam has broken on Gaza, talking about media, BBC, MSNBC, calling it a genocide, no longer going along. He goes, it's simple. Israel carried out their final solution. It's done. See, I disagree with him on that because it isn't done. You got 1.5 million people standing around in a fucking, ghetto. You got to do something with them. But anyway, we're in the final stages, so I'll agree with that. Every town has been flattened. That's true. Everyone still alive is experiencing a level of famine they can't come back from. Almost there. We're almost there. And talking about everyone, right? Criticizing it now is too late. That's why. Criticizing it now is too late. That's why. And that's the most important point, is that the reason why they're coming out is because they're starting the long cycle of saying, of being like, we never actually, even though we tacitly supported this, of course, we, MSNBC, CNN, all these different media, BBC, Sky News, all these different supposedly liberal organizations, right? They basically allowed it to happen by allowing Israel to control how they talk about the story, what they report on, et cetera, et cetera. They're basically complicit in this genocide that is in its final stages. So now they're starting the retribution arc of being like, well, we were always against this, right? I mean, you could look back 6 months ago and we were talking about it, right? Well, the problem wasn't just 6 months ago. The problem was 30 years ago. And for decades and decades, and Woke Patriot, if you're still here, Woke Patriot can tell you, the media, it was unquestionable pro-Israel, pro-Zionist, associate Judaism with Israel. It was lockstep. There was barely pushback, and the kind of Palestinian representation that did exist, it was often mocked. It was very muted, very adversarial. It's the media organizations have been complicit for a very long time. So anyway, thank you, Max, for not giving Elon Musk $5 a month. So-called. Got to give you more of this. Got to give you more Mehdi Hassan. Got to give you more Zateo. I got to do this. He's so fucking good. I'm not going to get sexual and weird this time, I promise. But let's get to it. Zateo, Jubilee, it's amazing stuff. Stand up for human rights. It even if you don't get it right every single time, even if you don't have every little fact that they just hand wave away anyway, know that you're on the right side of history. Okay.
Innocent Palestinians. You don't think Palestinians are innocent?
Not all of them. Because
what about the 17,000 children who were killed?
They're doing the
17,000 children were killed. Were they not innocent? Were they not innocent?
Who's responsible for that?
Israel, who dropped the bombs on
Hamas
them.
is responsible. Hamas is responsible for hiding in hospitals and making tunnels underneath those hospitals.
So when children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers aren't responsible for that?
Look,
it's a simple question.
Here's the problem.
When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in Gaza in the head, as eyewitness testimony and doctors' testimony proves, that's not the fault of the Israeli snipers.
This is the problem, because when you have
the problem is you won't answer the question. I'll ask you a third time. When Israeli snipers shoot Palestinian children in the head, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
Well, you got to let me finish.
No, you got to answer the question. Fourth time.
Well,
when Israeli snipers
shoot
Palestinian children in the head,
I will get to your
we're running out of time. I need to know what you think about innocent children.
Because
what you said was pretty outrageous. You said so-called innocent Palestinians. For the fifth time, when Palestinian children are shot in the head by Israeli snipers, is that not the fault of Israeli snipers?
What did those children do?
What did they do? Tell me, did the children deserve to be shot in the head?
Because the problem is,
millions of people are watching you say
they start brainwashing children. They start brainwashing children at a very young age.
So you support sniping children in Gaza?
Look,
do other people here support sniping children in Gaza? Is that a conservative position now?
Even the straight up stone cold fascist is like, no. We put them on trains. We put them in ovens. We tell them it's a shower. We kill them the right way. We don't just snipe them in the head. That's barbarity. That's barbarity. Anyway, I love voting for authoritarians. Like even the scummiest of scumbag is like, yeah, that's not a good look.
What if they're wearing a suicide vest?
They weren't.
What if they were buried in a haunted cemetery and churned into a zombie version of themselves? What if? Mehdi never talks about the pet cemetery scenario, okay, when killing kids. Never talks about it. Well, what if sometimes dead is better. Well, sometimes maybe what if sometimes you bury them in a haunted cemetery even though the guy from Maine tells you not to do it? What if, Mehdi? What if they're all zombie children resurrected from the pet cemetery? Mehdi, fucking got him, dude. Come on, let's go. Let's go on Jubilee, dude. I'll take you on, Mehdi. Oh, you care about human rights? You're not even talking about the pet cemetery zombie scenario, bitch. You don't even know what's going on.
What if they are?
They're not, though.
What if they are?
I have friends who went there, doctors went to Gaza, American doctors. They came back as we had multiple children.
What if they're
hell-bent?
What if they're hell-bent on killing you and your family?
What if a 10-year-old child is hell-bent on killing you and your family? What do? Bust out the 50 cal, clack, clack, okay? That's what we do. That's how we take care of it. Because, when I look at this guy, child murderer, yeah, that's about right. Makes perfect sense. Gonna snipe a kid in the head, South Park, they're coming for us. Get them! Just hanging out at a playground. Kung Lao cap. How dare you? Kung Lao is sick as shit. This guy is fucking puke.
10-year-old child, an 8-year-old child, a 6-year-old child.
Because
This is
like
bad
you said,
for you.
like
You're
you said,
sitting on
they're
live
brainwashing
television
them.
where millions of people are going to see your neighbors, your
because
friends.
then millions
you
of
support
people,
the killing of
millions
children.
of people
Twist
don't
the
know what's
fucking
going
knife,
on.
man.
Even your fellow right-wingers are saying, don't go this far.
Twist the fucking knife, Mehdi. Twist the fucking knife, man. Right in the guts. Right in the guts with a little twist. Fucking twist that dick. The old dick twist. Oh my God, dude. I get fucking shivers, bro. I get shivers. He's that good. He's that good. This guy's evil Lou Bega. Mambo 666. It's like a twisted version of the Mambo number 5. It's all bad and disjointed and toxic. Mambo 666. I'm gonna shoot a kid in the head. I mean, look at this fucking guy, man. Look at, you got the you're twirling that bitch. You're literally twirling the mustache, man. Can't believe you walk out of the house with that hat on. I can't believe that shit, dude. Props to the hat salesman. You know, props to the hat salesman, okay? Somebody convinced that guy he looks good in that thing. Humanity has built nothing. They built your bitch ass that won't stop fucking flapping. Is that not good enough? Humanity's built nothing. Really? Really? You're typing that out on the device that you literally live from, some marvel of modern science that fucking, you know, that's fucking completely transformed your life. We suck. We suck. As he sends this data through fucking space. I know that's what's his nuts? Louis C.K. bit. I know the I'm gonna steal it. Okay, you can steal shit from pedophiles and rapists, it's not rapists, but sexual offenders, sexual assaultists, like Louis C.K. He's not a rapist. Trump forever, MAGA. My God. Even now. Yeah, long leg. Exactly. Really? Detsu? Really? Even now? Really? Are you sure, bud? Are you sure, man? Like, did you get the news? Yes. Okay, so just Detsu. Please confirm that you acknowledge that Donald Trump is associated with the world's most prolific pedophile. I'm just going to say associated. Please confirm. What's the problem? Donald Trump is a pedophile. He's also anti-American trash. He is not. Okay, so you just okay, cool. So all right, no problem. We don't waste our time with garbage. Folks, what do we do with garbage? What do we do with feces? Do we have a debate with feces? No, we don't. Right? We don't have debates with feces. What do we do when we see feces? And then we move on with our day, right? Donald is likely one of the worst Americans to ever live. Yeah, I mean, he's the absolute worst of the current. I mean, he's like literally like he was formed from the current toxic zeitgeist. He's everything that's wrong with us. Exactly. It's sanitary, right? We don't leave it in the bowl. We don't do that. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Remember that meme? Oh man, classic. It's as big as a log. Flush your fucking turd. I can't remember all what she said, but God, that was great. Funny shit. Anyway, sanitary to flush your poop. Anyway, Israel, reaction to Germany's shift on recognizing the Palestinian state. So I've been dying to talk about this. Yeah, exactly, Harry Haas. It's just pathetic. You know, we're not even wasting time. We've wasted too much already. So back to the subject here. I've been wanting to talk about this. You know, it's happening. Ron Paul meme, right? It's happening, dog. We got France coming out. Macron he took a look at that starving Palestinian who was like also sick from a fucking degenerative disease, and he said enough is enough. He got in front of a microphone and he said, we're doing it. Not if this and that and maybe like Keir Starmer. He said, no, we're doing this. We're acknowledging the existence of Palestine. Is it too late? Yes, obviously. What are you guys talking about? I have no idea. What could we be talking about? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Right on the tip of my tongue. Can't quite wrap my noodle around it. We'll get back to you on that one. We'll get back to you on that one, on that question. Anyway, it's happening. France said we're doing it. UK said maybe we're doing it, basically treating acknowledging Palestinians' existence as a threat to Israel, which is really funny that he does that, and then in the same breath talks about keeping the viability of the two-state solution. Right? Why would you be using their existence as a threat if you felt that they were honest partners in a two-state solution negotiation? They're so clearly not. And Keir Starmer, I said it before, I'll say it again. Dude is bad at politics, okay? Great middle manager, make him the manager of a fucking Kinko's, and that motherfucker's going to be, ship shape, open up at 9, ready to ship packages at 9:05, right? We're not closing till 6. Okay, running smooth, okay? Keir Starmer's would run Kinko's smoothly, okay? Political leader? No, dude. No, actually atrocious. Actually terrible. Terrible. So you got Keir Starmer, and then we got Germany as well, which is huge. A lot of people were thinking Germany is going to be one of the final holdouts because of their strong advocacy for Israel for, obviously obvious reasons, right? So this is actually really, really huge as well. And I think there's one other that I'm missing. There was one other saying that they were going to acknowledge. Is all of this too late? Yeah. Did I mention Canada? I think I mentioned Canada. But is all of this too late? Obviously, right? We're in the final stages of the final solution when it comes to the Gaza Strip, and they're just starting to crack the egg in the West Bank. There's literally no serious discussion about giving back Palestinian land, taking that from the settlers and giving it back to Palestinians. There's no serious discussion about the Golan Heights and Syria, right? I mean, they're over here bombing Damascus. It's completely out of control. Oh, and now Johnny-come-latelys. The Johnny-come-latelys. Yeah, borderline feline. It's interesting their reluctance, right? It's interesting they were, well, maybe if you could just stop starving them, but you could keep the ethnic cleansing going as long as you don't starve them to death. But you can continue to bomb them, encroach on their territory. You can do all that, and I'll be happy to fund you and fund your weapons program while you do that. But just don't starve them while you're ethnically cleanse them. That's a no-no. I mean, if that doesn't describe neoliberalism, I don't know what does, right? You can do a genocide, but just, do a happy genocide. Do it friendly ethnic cleansing. Come on, guys. We don't need to starve people while we force them out of their land. Come on, guys. That's literally neoliberalism, man. That's it. Anyway, it's good news. Let's kick it over to France 24 to get a rundown on Germany. Will they, won't they? Big fat nut props to your boy Macron, who I got a lot of problems with. Okay, talk about neoliberal failure. Talk about, not holding conservatives, not governing better than the conservatives are able to diminish and demolish, right? Because he's got this right-wing coalition, like just a few points away. Is very, very likely that Macron is going to lose his next election. But you know what? He wants to go out with a bang. That's great. I mean, there's so many other things that he could be doing, right, that he's not doing. But at the end of the day, Johnny come lately, right? But he said, we're doing it. And he apparently, as in the way that France works, he has that ability to just unilaterally, without discussion or debate, make that decision for the entire country of France. That might not be the case in the UK, Canada. There's one other one. Wasn't it UK, Canada, Germany? It's right from my fucking face. So that might not be the case there, where like the president or the whoever, the person in charge, PM, they can't just unilaterally make that decision. But either way, big props to Macron, because what is this doing? It's forcing the hand of the European coalition to put up or shut up here. Are we, because like continuing to go along with silence or just kind of the status quo is acquiescing to a full-blown acknowledged by the Israeli government as official government policy, ethnic cleansing genocide. And you're just like, I support Israel, two-state solution. I am literally a robot. Thank you so much, AIPAC, for the check, right? Like, it is a put up or shut up moment. And some people don't really give a shit, and it's like, thank you for the check, and no problem, keep ethnically cleansing. But it's nice to see, man. At least, but it's. The whole situation is poisoned by the Johnny come lately, right? By the fact that it's all too late. This literally should have happened 10 years ago. Straight up, right? When it was epically clear Israel was not only they were pretending and claiming that they were resisting the settler movement, but they were actually assisting the settler movement. Literally, the IDF monitoring settlers coming in and harassing Palestinians. That was 10 fucking years ago, okay? Rachel Corrie was 10, 15 years ago, 15 plus years ago, okay? So the time to actually do this was then. That's how late we fucking are to the table here. So let's not get it twisted here. This changes nothing. And the reason why it changes nothing is because the whole fucking, it's all late. It's all too late. Now, I might be too cynical to say that it changes nothing, because of course, it may be, but it's at a point where it's like, I mean, what are we going to do? Save the West Bank? It's a bunch of fucking surrounded islands. It's not even a contiguous region.
Let's go across to Jerusalem now. France 24's Noga Tarnopolsky is standing by. Noga, this is a bombshell shift in tone from Germany, and it follows similar.
Harry Haas, I don't know. Is that true? I mean, I guess that would make sense. You would need to recognize the existence of Palestine to have control over it, to give it away to Israel. Oh, here, you could have this thing that doesn't exist. What? This country that we own but doesn't exist. You can have it. That's why you can have it. They all say it's some mystery land called Palestine, literally mentioned in the fucking Bible, by the way. Anyway.
Statements from other G7 states. Has there been any reaction?
There's been vicious reaction from Israel. The first country to make this announcement was France, and Israel responded via the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister by accusing President Macron of being a collaborator with Hamas terror, no less, of rewarding murderous Hamas terror by recognizing a Palestinian state. And clearly this is part of a well-coordinated diplomatic tsunami plan to pressure Israel. It's not just the UK and France and Canada and now Germany, a country with which Israel has uniquely close ties, who are discussing the possibility and the eventual necessity of recognizing a Palestinian state. But as our colleague Nick just said, the German minister is doing so on his way to Israel. He's about to arrive in Jerusalem. And we also have Sweden. The Prime Minister in Sweden called for suspending the European free trade agreement with Israel. So these are all extremely serious matters. They indicate the complete collapse of Israeli foreign policy that we have seen under Prime Minister Netanyahu during this war. I mention his name in particular because Netanyahu has long presented himself to Israelis as, and I'm quoting now from his many political campaigns, as in another league, in a more elevated diplomatic league, as the one specialist who really can be Israel's face to the world. All of that is crumbling very, very quickly right now.
And
I don't have my
Noga, I'm just curious, what are ordinary Israelis saying about this shift in tone that's coming from right around the world? Do they feel alone now?
No, they
Israelis feel extremely alone. The country is more and more isolated, and increasingly in ways that regular Israelis can feel. Israel has been distanced from.
Well, I mean, absolute zero. I'm there. Here's the thing. This I need to stress this. Violence is actually not the only solution. The reason why violence feels like the only solution is that the people that have the most power, the people that can actually move and shake and force Israel to do something different, and this is fundamental, they're not interested in peace. Okay? The elimination of the Palestinian state has been the goal from the very beginning, and we have to come to terms with the fact that the Western governments that are vociferously supporting Israel up until this moment, maybe, were okay with that mission. They were okay with that mission. And they're still okay with it. And what I'm trying to get at is that they're the reason why violence is really the only direction forward. Okay, because like I said, if they wanted to, they could coalition of the willing, occupy Gaza, right? Provide health care, right? Force Israel. We're not going to give you missiles for your Iron Dome. Not going to give you money and all that shit. The whole nine, unless you let us in here, right? Coalition of multiple countries. And then you provide that security while you're also policing and making sure that you're eliminating any vestiges of Hamas. And you're encouraging the Palestinians to not join Hamas by giving them hope for the future. Right? That's what the security is about. Now, if you do it like George Bush in Afghanistan, it's not going to work. Okay? It's not going to work. And that situation is different. Than Palestine, right? Afghanistan is definitely a different situation than Palestine. But with that said, everybody knows you're not going to bring about peace and security with 2,000-pound bunker buster bombs, and you're certainly not going to eliminate Hamas. You need to do what Ben-Gvir wants to do: completely annihilate the whole thing, everybody in it, absorb the whole region. And it's like, yeah, maybe Hamas technically exists as an, internet, Facebook group in some other country. And they would still have to deal with terrorism unless they literally did like full ethno-state, like, anybody who even remotely looks anything remotely, anybody who looks anything close to Arab isn't even allowed in the country, right?
Rest of the world during this long period of war, in part because foreign airlines have stopped flying here.
Honeymoon,
it has become
no
more and more risky to be an Israeli abroad, to be heard speaking Hebrew has become a draw for in some cases, real violence. And remember that the Israeli Prime Minister, this same magician of diplomacy, now faces indictments from the International Criminal Court. So he can barely travel abroad. He used to be a standard bearer for Israel. I do think that it's important to remember that a two-state solution, until fairly recently, was the official position of the Israeli state. The state of Israel said, we want to live side by side with an eventual state of Palestine. It is Prime Minister Netanyahu who, in a fairly recent statement a few years ago, said, over my dead body, will there be a state of Palestine? He turned this issue into a taboo when it is
right. And this is, and statements like that, and the ones I've showed you earlier, literally in a Wikipedia, really show how cynical Keir Starmer is when he starts talking about two-state solution, because he knows what's going on here, but he thinks very poorly of his own people. He thinks they're stupid as hell. They don't know what any of this means. I can just keep repeating these platitudes, and they don't even know. They can't even find it on a map. They don't care. And it's like, people don't need to have every little bit of information to know that you're blowing smoke, that you're full of shit. And that's Keir Starmer all over. Like, he can't hide that stuff, man. He really just needs to go back to being the manager at Kinko's, because he is not a leader. He doesn't inspire he doesn't inspire me at all. And maybe that's just my cynical view of it, but I mean, from my opinion, he's just so bad at this.
Almost by definition an Israeli interest to be able to live side by side in peace with Palestinians. And now this taboo that he created is being used against him and is being used against Israel by allied leaders who were searching for any way they could pressure him, now that the Trump administration appears to have decided to give him almost blanket support.
Well, we'll see if.
Right. All right. Great report there. And yeah, Hamonim over here talking about negotiating with Egypt to open the borders. No, they're not going to do it. You know, they're never going to accept willingly taking in 1.5 million refugees and basically helping the most extreme elements of the Israeli government, you know, finish their ethnic cleansing. There's no way that's going to happen. If Egypt does end up taking these people, it's going to be by force. Said in the 1980s, and I quote, we have to stop, I assume, being ashamed of being supporters of Israel. I mean, yeah, that's Joe Biden. Israel's not a country. It is a special interest. He's such an idiot. It is not beholden to national morality. If Israel did not exist, we need to invent an Israel. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. One of the worst fucking presidents, okay? Like, I mean, you know, like like a fart in an empty room, you know, that someone's walking out of. Like, no one even smells it. So, welcome to censorship. I knew this was going to happen. I should have taken a screenshot. This is the screenshot of the starving person, the Hamas hostage that they're intentionally starving, and they took pictures of him digging his own grave in some godforsaken tunnel somewhere. He has the nerve to claim he's Irish. Fuck Joe Biden, dude. I'm absolutely, if I never hear that man's fucking name, if I never see another fucking picture, if I literally never hear about him ever again, it will be too much. Absolutely, because like you know who disgusts me more than even the most evil motherfuckers? The people who claim to be good, the people who convince everybody that they're liberal or progressive. We give them power, we give them that seat, we give them the ability to do it, and they just sit on it. Sit on it. What did being careful do for Joe Biden at the end of it all? Being careful and Merrick Garland and just kid gloves and not pushing and trying to reinforce a status quo that was destroyed 15 years ago. What did that get the man? I swear to God, dude, if I was in charge, I'd shut his library down. I'd be like, there's nothing to remember here. He did literally, it's a plaque. These are the few good things he was able to accomplish. The rest of it, dreck, bullshit, fascist enabling failure. Anyway, so this censored Reddit post had a picture of this poor hostage. Who no, I don't care, to the lefties that are laughing at these hostages. Oh, you fuck around, find out. You people are disgusting. Okay, but the reason why I'm putting it in here is because the comment section is actually filled with a bunch of links. If you want to see the videos, they got video. They're disgusting. There's an execution. It's disgusting stuff, straight up snuff film level. If you want, though, in the comment section, you can see it for yourself. Once again, back to the earlier discussion here, the left needs to start having the balls to have enough nuance to point out the difference between Palestinian resistance and what Hamas is doing. This is a very eye-opening video. It does not have any gore in it. It does not have any gore in it, but this gives you not half the world's problems, but it's the reason why it feels so intractable, the reason why it's so violent is because, that has been the goal from the very beginning. But it's not all the world's problems. Like Russia, Ukraine, like obviously Israel and Palestine, those things are connected at the very least through propaganda. But, we got, let's not exaggerate here. Anyway, this is a very eye-opening. I'm just going to read the rest of your comment. They failed in their own. Yeah. I think I agree with most of that. A very eye-opening video here. This is your average day as a Gazan. Okay, you're starving. There's one place to get food. That's intentional. You have to intentionally navigate this death trap, straight up death trap. And this is what it looks like, okay? There's no way he could have planned what we're about to see. Okay, he didn't orchestrate any of this. Literally turned on record. Okay, here's my day trying to get some food. Okay, and remember, this is the law of the jungle here. Just like, a wolf or a cheetah has to be very careful about the energy that they expend when they're hunting. It's the same thing as a human being here. You have to be like, okay, I only have so much energy. Like if I don't get out of the house and if I don't try this now, I'm going to be too weak tomorrow to claw my way through to get a half a bag of rice. Ukraine war video account on Reddit. Okay, I don't give a shit. Post videos. Like, we need to see this stuff. And yeah, even if it's disgusting and horrible, we need to see it.
أكيد عمرك بحياتك ما شفت حدا بيروح على الموت برجليه. إحنا بغزة عندنا لعبة اسمها لعبة الموت من أجل.
The game of death for food. Great. Let's send more weapons.
الساعة 8 الصبح تحركنا على مكان توزيع المساعدة. المنطقة هاي لازم تجري فيها لأنه خطر والرصاص من فوق رؤوسنا كان يمشي. بعد 4 كيلو
so they're being fired upon, like, so they're unless he's faking it, and I don't think he's faking it here. So we're not even talking about a group of people like congregating and getting dangerous and getting riled up. Like, they're not even at the distribution point yet, and they're already experiencing random Israelis just shooting over their head. Like, we're not even talking, like, what is this? It's like literally like, who was that guy in Schindler's List? The dude, he was just sniping concentration camp victims. What was the guy's name? It wasn't Goebbels. It was Hermann Goering, maybe Goering. But that's the kind of sick shit that the Nazis would do, right? There's Eamon Goeth, yeah, however you say his name. That's right, that's the one. Talk about sick video if you want to watch video of that guy getting hung.
تجري فيها لأنه خطر والرصاص من فوق رؤوسنا كان يمشي. بعد 4 كيلو جراي هاي آخر نقطة.
So they're already getting shot at. They're not even at the distribution point yet.
نوصل هالدبابة كانت قدامنا عدها مكمل.
And they're at these various checkpoints where they take cover.
بده يسوقها. حكونا.
And then they have to run in between reload sessions.
فتحة رحنا نجري. من وين الناس بتطلع والله ما بتعرف. حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل في اللي وصلنا.
This is orchestrated. People are allowed to use violence against their oppressors, and they are still liable for violating the laws of such actions. I agree with that. As ridiculous as it sounds to have rules on a battlefield, things like the Geneva Conventions, I still think that they should be there, and I still think military should try their best to adhere to them, because war crimes do exist. War crimes are real, and they should be fundamentally discouraged, even during a war. Which sounds ridiculous, when it's just a slaughter fest. It's a slaughterhouse. What are we talking about here? But no, understanding the wider scope of what, the goal of what we're trying to achieve here, peace, unity, cooperation. We do need to hold war criminals accountable, and we all should try to conduct ourselves accordingly, right? Afterwards, we find those criminals and such. I agree with that. Like, there's documented footage of Ukrainians committing war crimes. And I'm not whatabouting, because I agree with you that, those people should be prosecuted for committing war crimes, not taking a prisoner, executing somebody instead of taking them prisoner when they're disarmed, et cetera, et cetera. It pales. The crimes of the war crimes of the Ukrainians absolutely pale in comparison to the daily ongoing war crimes of the Russian military. There is no comparison. It's, Russia commits 100 war crimes in a day. Ukraine commits maybe 1. Does that make things right? Does that justify things? Of course not. But that does give us a scale on who is more moral, who's trying to act more moral, who's trying to, present themselves as more moral and back that up with actions, and who is less moral, who is more nihilistic, who wants to kill, who's more brutal. Those questions are important, especially when we're talking about a fucking invasion, right? So let's get back over here to Gaza. We haven't even reached the food. Totally orchestrated madness. They're getting shot at. Bullets flying over their head. Before they've even, they're not They're not rioting here. They're not rioting. They're not throwing rocks. Unarmed, totally unarmed, and bullets whizzing over their heads. This is orchestrated.
هيك حالي أنا حاليا داخل مكان التوزيع وبصراحة ما كنت قادر أتنفس نهائيا. كمية الناس مش طبيعية، في ناس أخذت وناس لا. بصراحة حزنت على حالي وحزنت على الحياة اللي احنا قاعدين بنعيشها. كنت سعيد جدا إني قدرت أروح شوية أغراض لأهل البيت، فتخيل إني ما روح إشي وأدهم كان ماسك.
Well, you know, Meat Shield disagreeing with Nate. I think I agree with both of you. You know, I think in some cases people are aware, in other cases people go fuck it.
بلاش يشرب بعد ماشي 4 كيلو بعز الشمس.
So look at that. He's, you know, Jesus, look at the throng. Look at the absolute throng.
ناس لا بصراحة حزنت على حالي وحزنت على الحياة اللي احنا قاعدين بنعيشها. كنت سعيد جدا إن.
So he's really happy he managed to get a few things. He gets half a bag. He gets the scraps. Meat Shield, come on now. Pull your head out of your ass. Don't be saying shit like that. You don't understand. Come on. You're in the politics section and the realest motherfucking news channel on Twitch. Don't be infantilizing yourself.
إني قدرت أروح شوية أغراض لأهل البيت، فتخيل إني ما روح إشي وأدهم كان ماسك كيسو.
So he's trying to bring this back to his family.
ماشي 4 كيلو بعز الشمس.
Just completely wiped out. 4 kilometers under the absolute scorching sun.
لقينا مكان نرتاح فيه لأنه بصراحة ما كنا قادرين نمشي. أخذت الكيس ورايح للوالدة. دش
Went to his mother, get some water. It's good.
والحمد لله هاي الأشياء.
Yeah, this is a shower. This is a shower in Gaza, thanks to Israel.
سريع والحمد لله هاي الأشياء اللي قدرت أجيب.
So Meat Shield, I totally understand that, you know, those feelings, right? The feeling of frustration. That's exactly why I'm here, because there is a way forward, and that's, you know, that's through political activism. And you're not gonna fix everything, not even close. Okay? But the way that you can help sleep at night, knowing that there's crimes existing that are being committed, criminals that exist that are committing crimes, I mean, yeah, you just follow the 3-step program. All right? We inform ourselves, we sign up and show up, because we don't just inform ourselves and do nothing with that information. All right? We take that information and we fuel our actions with it. And then step 3, we put in the work, we become consistent, we turn this activism into a lifestyle, right? We resist until the final bit, until the final breath, and that's the only way we win. Here's a closer look at the orchestrated famine that Israel has created. It's not easy. I'm not telling you it's easy. Okay, Meat Shield. But I know how I want to die. You know what I mean? I know how I want to die, and that's resisting this tyranny. Straight up, right? Because I look at this and I know it's wrong. I know it's morally wrong. I don't care what a Zionist says. I don't care what Piers Morgan has to say about it. This is fucking wrong. Orchestrated famine. Okay. Let's not forget dozens of aid agencies that actually know how to distribute this food peacefully in a way that doesn't create issues. You know, is there issues once in a while? Yes, of course. You know, you're not going to be able to deal with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people without issues popping up. But they knew how to distribute it, safely in a way that people wouldn't be caught up in some riotous throng. And that was all banned and eliminated because Hamas, and replaced with an intentionally inadequate system that creates this panic to justify daily murder, daily massacres in these locations. Literally, like, you know, trapping, you know, small critters. I'm not comparing these people to animals, but literally this is how you would treat rodent elimination if you considered human beings animals. Bring them into one location, right? You eliminate all sources of food except for one. They have to come here or they starve to death and then start popping away. It's sick. It's beyond sick. Okay, like even the Nazis didn't do this kind of shit. They did it differently, right? They just had the balls to fucking shoot you right there and do a fucking mass grave right in your little village, right, in Poland or something, right? They didn't stretch it out like this, because the goal of this is not exactly murdering everybody. It's making them utterly, totally miserable so that they self-deport. And it's like even the Nazis didn't do that shit, dude. They just popped your ass. It's fucking, unless you were Jewish, right? Then you had to go to the fucking, right. This is orchestrated. This was intentional. You know, you got to imagine this. Picture this. People, Israeli government officials sitting around a boardroom looking at a fucking PowerPoint presentation and saying, yeah, this is what's going to happen. We're going to implement this plan. It's going to look like this. This is intentional. They knew exactly what they were doing. And, we're going to shoot at them and create a bunch of panic. It's sick. Sick, 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 sick. Sick. There's no other word for it. All right, this is tough, dude. This is fucking tough. I'm not going to interrupt this. I'm not going to get up and leave. I'm going to sit here quietly and listen to this story. I can't describe how sad this story is. So if you don't want to listen to it, that's your choice, but I don't look away. All right, I'm not going to judge you. You can look away. But for the next 3 minutes, I'm just going to quietly listen to this man's story. I got nothing to add other than my fucking tears.
We treat these civilians in Gaza worse, with less dignity than we treated the ISIS fighters that surrendered in Baghouz Fakhani in Syria in 2018. This young boy, this is on May 28th on secure distribution site number 2. The aid had been distributed. A lot of people had left. You see behind there's a crowd of people still with their boxes, kind of getting ready to leave. And this little boy, his name is Amir, and he was standing, he was with the crowd, but he walks over. And you see that first picture on the top right, he kind of walks over to me and he puts out his hand. And at first I thought like that he wanted more food or something. And I felt bad because I didn't have anything. But I was like, oh, I have nothing. And he puts out his hand. And so I beckoned him to come to me. I said, come here. And he reaches out and he holds my hand and he kisses my hand. He kisses my hand and he says, Shukran. You can see in this picture that this little boy is not wearing shoes. His clothes are falling off of him because he's so skinny. I put my hand on his left shoulder and I looked at him and he's looking at me. We're looking at each other in the eyes. And I say to him, people care. You're a human being and people care about you. The world cares. That's not Hamas. That's not a Hamas fighter. And I looked at him and I said, the world cares. And he put down the little food he has. You notice he doesn't have a box. He doesn't have a box of food. He has half of a bag of rice that he found on the ground, a broken bag, half a bag of lentils that he found on the ground, and he was thanking us. Thank you. This little boy from where he came from walked 12 kilometers to get there, just to get there. 12 kilometers.
12. The other guy did 4.
And when he got there, he thanked us for the remnants and the small crumbs that he got. And he sets them down on the ground because I was kneeling at this point, and he sets his food down and he places his hands on my face, on the side of my face, on my cheeks, these frail, skeleton, emaciated hands, dirty, and he puts them on my face and he kissed me. He kissed me and he said, thank you, in English, thank you. And he collected his items and he walked back to the group, and then he was shot at with pepper spray and tear gas and stun grenades and bullets shot at his feet and in the air, and he runs away scared. I was on the inside of the site, so there's berms that surround the site, so I couldn't see outside of the site. So the last group of people, women and children and small children and kids and children and babies, are leaving the site. And as they're leaving the site and they get to the next intersection, I hear machine gun fire. And the IDF were shooting at the crowd. So they're shooting to control the population that's along the Marag corridor. And as they're doing that, they're shooting into this crowd. And Palestinians, civilians, human beings, are dropping to the ground, getting shot. And Amir was one of them. Amir walked 12 kilometers to get food, got nothing but scraps, thanked us for it, and died.
What can you say to that? You know, and then you turn on your TV, and it's some multimillionaire schmuck interviewing some representative from the IDF, and they just hand wave it all away. And what does that schmuck do? Oh, thank you for your time. On to the next segment. Even now, that's what you see. They're still just doing that. Channel 4, I see it. Oh, you know, they get a Palestinian to talk about the atrocity, and then they end the segment with a 5-minute lie session from the IDF. Right? And like once you've exposed yourself to the reality, and then you turn on your TV and you see that, it makes you physically angry. Because not only is the crime being committed, it's being covered up. It's being covered up. Kudos to you if you stuck around and listened to that. That's all I have to add to that at the moment. I'm disgusted beyond words, and I'm on the verge of tears. So we're just going to move on to the next segment. Here's what life in the West Bank looks like. Israeli soldiers raid mourning tent. So this is a very common thing that the IDF does when Palestinians are mourning the death of one of the people that the IDF kills. The IDF will then show up at the funeral, intentionally roughing people up. I'll never forget the image of, you know, these. It was, I believe it was the reporter that died early on in this conflict. She was intentionally killed by the IDF, and they were carrying her coffin like through the streets, right? Because that's how they mourn. And the IDF approached the people carrying the coffin and started hitting them with batons. And they're like desperately trying to keep the coffin up, hold the coffin up, while they're getting hit with batons by the IDF, because the IDF wanted them to drop the coffin, spill the body out in the middle of the street. I know this seems a little random, but for some reason I was just, you know, I picture characters like Ethan Klein. And it's like, I know there's a human being in there, man. I know there's a human being. Just start the mea culpa now. You know? We forgave the Nazis. Okay? We forgave Japan. But to the Ethan Kleins, just stop with the defense of this. Is Ethan Klein really going to keep it up through the entire eradication of the West Bank? It's going to take several more years. So I'm like begging the Ethan Kleins of the world to stop this. Stop the fucking madness and start the mea culpa now. So here you go. This is what it's like to be in the West Bank now. But I mean, for the next 2 years, 3 years, absolute zero, really? Every day, another atrocity. You're going to hand wave it away. I can't imagine anyone having that kind of stamina. You know, And it's not just Ethan Klein, Barry Weiss, and all the fucking rest of them. Really? This is what you're going to be doing for the next fucking 3 years? Look away, look away. It's not happening. It's not happening as they take chunk after chunk after chunk. I mean, what's the Ethan Kleins of the world? What are they going to say when the people that are currently isolated in an extremely small section of the Gaza Strip, when they finally implement the final phase there and whatever the solution is, right? Kidnapping tens of thousands of people, forcing them on buses and planes, dumping them somewhere in Africa. Some fly-by-night quick deal with a dictator of an African country, and then they just start dumping people. Right? Really? You know, I just like... It's so amazingly, disgustingly indefensible. You know? But Hamas, huh? And I'm not like singling out Ethan Klein per se. I'm just, you know the kind of commentator I'm talking about. I wanted to move on to the next segment here to remind you to stop supporting Leonardo DiCaprio. I know it sucks. You know, his movies are really good. And Quentin Tarantino, great movies, right? But I wanted to remind you that he appears to be a proud Zionist that is actually planning on building a luxury hotel in Israel. So not only does he, quietly, tacitly support the ethnic cleansing, he actually is interested in investing money in Israel. I wouldn't be surprised if, once things calm down and become normalized, that he wouldn't invest in Gaza, real estate. Probably not directly, right? He would dump his money into some real estate billion-dollar Trump-like corporation that is settling the Gaza Strip and building luxury hotels, that kind of thing. So this is a very funny joke. It's the youngest country he could think of, right? Because he, he likes to, he's a 50-year-old man who likes to have sex with 19-year-old supermodels. And it's like, how am I supposed to criticize that not looking like a fucking hypocrite? Because what are you supposed to do? They're consenting adults. Some people will go too far and say, oh, they're too young. And they're like, they infantilize these adult women. So I don't believe in that, but it is creepy behavior. It is creepy behavior, but it's also totally legal. What are you going to do about it? There's a really funny Joel Haver sketch about Batman confronting Joker, and the Joker's like, ha ha ha, I got a really funny scheme. I got a really evil scheme, right? So he shows up on the video, and it's this 17-year-old girl 5 minutes away from her birthday, and the Joker's like, in 5 minutes, I'm legally going to take her virginity, and there's nothing you can do about it, Batman. And Batman's like, holy shit. I really wish you were just poisoning there's nothing you could do. It's all legal. But he's like, it's so wrong. And there's nothing I could do about it. But it's so wrong. I'm going to take her virginity, Batman. It's like, I wish you were poisoning the water or something. Anyway, just wanted to remind you to try to cut Leonardo DiCaprio out of your life. Maybe don't support his videos, movies. If you want to see his movies, maybe pirate them. Remind people that he seems to be supporting Zionism even now in a full-blown ethnic cleansing. And that he's kind of a creepy old guy who likes to have sex with teenagers. Maybe remind people of that if you want. But, just quietly, I would recommend to quietly just boycott him and no longer give any movies that he's featured in any kind of money, right? But that's up to you. Just thought I'd remind you that he's a disgusting human being. Moving on to the next one. Just casually, U.S. lawmakers in a conference room meeting with Israelis discussing the annexation of the West Bank. Just casually, lawmakers from the United States participating in this ethnic cleansing, no problem. Yeah, exactly, Tisrael. No, what's Jinx, right? Oh, Batman, I've been carefully training my Jinx. Oh, and I'm going to have sex with it soon. What are you going to do about it, Batman? It's my property. I keep it in my Pokeball. I'm gonna have sex with my Pokemon, Batman. Batman's like, I really wish you would just poison and kill people. Yeah, you want to have, exactly, you want to have sex with the animals, right? You don't want to have sex with the only Pokemon that looks remotely humanoid. It's got human lips, at least. What the hell's up with that? Oh, no, the Mr. Mime is the most humanoid. I'm gonna have sex with Mr. Mime, Batman! Ugh. Ugh. Joker having sex with Mr. Mime actually does make a little bit of sense, right? They're both kind of like circus style. Okay. Are we deviating a little bit? I think we're deviating. But no, here's this sacred Scared Positive posted this a few days ago on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. A conference was held in support of imposing Israeli sovereignty over the West Bank. Yep, you heard that right. The event was attended by the head of the Samira Regional Council, Yosa Dagon, as well as no fewer than 30. That's right, 30. No pun intended. That was not intended. But 30 U.S. senators and congressmen. So not, X this, X that, interested party this. No, sitting lawmakers. Lawmakers who make decisions. There's a meme with Joker and Lol Punny, I think it was. Okay, you guys, you just have fun. I got to get back to the show. I got to get back to work here. You guys just have fun in the chat. Here's Ben Gvir straight up saying, let's genocide the whole situation, and what's really frightening is that Bibi Netanyahu he's about to lose his position of power. He's actually, he has to tread very, very carefully to stay where he's at. His coalition is very fragile. In fact, Bibi Netanyahu just recently lost controlling the majority. So he's now in the minority. His party is now in the minority. What I'm trying to say is that this psychopath, and I say that without exaggeration, this legitimate, murderous, sociopathic psychopath, there's a very real chance that he could be in charge of the whole kit and caboodle. And like within weeks of him being in charge, he will start accelerating whatever direction he wants to go in. Like I said, if we're lucky, they'll start kidnapping tens of thousands of Palestinians, keeping them alive, and dumping them in Africa. If we're not lucky, he'll just start killing motherfuckers. He'll start going full, get the bulldozers out, dig the big trenches, walk people into the trenches, right? Shoot at them from above, and then bulldoze over the bodies, mass grave, Nazi style. And this is him literally from his lips. Oh, you're being anti-Semitic. You're being anti-Semitic.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
Please watch this 16-second clip and tell me if I'm exaggerating. While hostages are in Gaza, our prime minister, is sending. Let's do this over here. Humanitarian aid to Gaza. I think at this stage should only be sending shells to bomb, conquer, encourage immigration, right? Not just bomb and kill Hamas. What is he saying here? Conquer, encourage immigration, which is what I've talked about earlier, making the situation so unbelievably miserable that you just leave because you got nothing, right? That's why they're digging up the cemeteries, okay? That's why they're specifically using machines to destroy the roads, okay? What's one of the first things you do in civilization when there's two towns? One of the first things that happens, you build a road. Why do you do that? Because it's essential for logistics and travel. It's really hard to do things, right? So what I'm trying to say, it's a foundational level piece of infrastructure that they intentionally destroyed. Why? Forced immigration. They call it voluntary immigration. Laugh along with me. Being angry all the time is bad for my health. No problem, Absolute Zero. We are nearing the end of the Gaza segment, and we will be getting into climate change, world news, neoliberalism, possibly. Maybe we'll do Ukraine next, actually. I think we're going to do Ukraine next. But I totally understand. You do what you got to do, bud. To win the war. Right. So there he is. Right. Conquer, destroy, force immigrate. Israeli Minister Ben Gvir accuses Netanyahu, listen to this, of moral bankruptcy for allowing humanitarian aid into Gaza, for feeding them. His position is that Bibi Netanyahu is acting immoral by not allowing for the complete starvation of 1.5 million people. Do you think he's going to be out there cleaning up the corpses, by the way? You know, when it's all said and done, if he gets what he wants, you think he's going to shovel in hand? I mean, he's a real sick fuck. So he might do it with a big smile on his face to like, hey, it's not so bad. They're just a bunch of dead bodies. It's just like clearing out an animal nest. It's all good. Look, I'm carrying a stiff dead body into the back of a truck. You could do it too, Israel. Ukraine is at least 2 angry levels below Gaza, but it still makes me angry. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you know, let's try not to compare atrocities, right? But I will say this. Both situations are unique and horrible in their own way, right? The nihilism of the Russian military sending wave after wave of meat into fucking machine gun fire, for example.
You see,
Mehdi Hassan, I'm in love with the man, okay? Let me just say it right now. I'm going to get creepy with it, okay? Restraining orders, just you know, put the emails out there right now. You're going to need them, okay? I can't control myself. I'm deeply and madly in love with Mehdi Hassan. Let's watch another clip.
Images of people starving to death, although the New York Times decided to come out and do a correction or update on their piece about a child starving to death.
Yeah, just real. Yeah. By unique, I mean unique from the Palestinian situation, right? Because it's not the Israeli military sending wave after wave after wave into Hamas, getting their ass shredded up. It's not, you know, it's unique in that way, right? It's a unique atrocity, is what the word I was using.
A child starving in an image saying, well, he had a pre-existing condition. What do you make of the kind of genocide denialism, cottage industry, the famine denialism industry here in the West? Serious people,
even now,
people who once had credibility are saying crazy stuff like, well, that child doesn't count because they have a disease. So if they're starving, that you can't count that one.
Yeah, no, they in a way that is the what about argument that you were hearing from IDF representatives when talking about the image of the starving child. Well, that kid, that one doesn't count because he's got a degenerative disease. So I guess it's okay to starve him. That's by implication, right?
Even this is Mahdi. Even that case, that correction was not bad at all for me. This is telling us that even the people who with diseases, who were born, with genetic disorders, even these people are being, starved and subjected to the Israeli-made malnutrition. So these people, no one talks about them. This even tells us that people in Gaza do not only need flour, or to drop to eat bread and eat rice or lentil. There are some people like these who were born with genetic disorders who need more than that.
Yes.
So even this is even making Israel more evil, but because they are not addressing the needs of these people who were born, with genetic disorder. These people need special food,
and
special
that makes everything
medicine.
okay.
They need to live in a healthy environment. But Israel is denying the normal people, the people who are healthy like us, and also the people who were born with genetic disorders. My sister, by the way, managed to leave Gaza with my mother in April 2024, just 1 month before Israel destroyed Rafah and destroyed the border crossing. The one reason why my sister had to leave, because she started to grow some signs on her body. She was born sick. Because she didn't have access to her medicine or even healthy food like fruit and vegetables, she was experiencing a very difficult time. So that's why she had to evacuate. Other than that, I would be posting a photo of my sister dying. So who is causing, even those who were born with genetic disorder, who is responsible for death?
Yeah, and if we somehow avoid a new Nuremberg war crimes trial for these crimes, it will be we should all be collectively ashamed, because like that's these crimes, and that goes for Russia as well. Anybody who commits war crimes, really, but the big perpetrators, right? Perpetrators. Are we really going to let Ben Gvir just die happy, die an old man, on the beaches of Gaza? Are we really going to allow that? And I'm not saying, murk the guy. I'm saying justice. I'm saying trials, for war crimes. No, is the plan really let Ben-Gvir sit comfortably in the land that he conquered and there's nothing we can do about it? Are we really that weak? Yeah, Kissinger did. I mean, like there is a difference between what Kissinger was, an evil man, and at the end of the day, Ben-Gvir, who's like in charge, making these decisions right there on the ground. I mean, I guess Henry Kissinger during the Nixon administration, that was him. No, basically, wasn't Cambodia his idea, right? So no, you're right. Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, get the fuck up there. Get the fuck up there, Henry. Israel votes by landslide to legally annex the West Bank. So, maybe you didn't hear about this because, mainstream media intentionally staying quiet about it, hoping against hope that that's not the case. Keir Starmer intentionally ignoring this and then getting on stage and talking about a two-state solution like the fucking clown that he is. But we're not going to watch the whole fucking 12 minutes here or whatever, but they get into it. I've never heard of these guys. Do Dissidents. Civilian journalists, 111K subscribers. Check them out. I don't know what their politics are, but I found the first few minutes interesting, so I thought I would show it to you. Way down, I hope in a very hot, crispy place. The reality is that he is dead. He no longer exists. He did not receive justice during his lifetime. That is the failure of us, the progressive left, the people that are moral and believe in justice. That is our failure. We need to deal with that. We need to come to terms with that. He is not suffering in the bowels of hell. He is not being punished karmically for his terrible actions. He died peaceful instead of in a jail cell. And we have to deal with that failure as leftists.
So, folks, the Knesset in Israel has voted overwhelmingly for non-binding motion calling to annex the West Bank. The Knesset approved a non-binding motion in favor of annexing the West Bank on Wednesday, a symbolic gesture that
he was kind of swinging and popular in the 60s as well. So, boys will be boys.
United the otherwise fractious right-wing governing coalition. The resolution, which passed 71-13, declared that the West Bank is an inseparable part of the land of Israel, the historical, cultural, and spiritual homeland of the Jewish people, and that Israel has the natural, historical, and legal right to all of the territory.
I swear to God, next time Keir Starmer plans on reciting a speech about the two-state solution, he should do it in complete, full clown makeup. So there it is, folks. Yeah, they're doing the West Bank too. Just a couple weeks ago, they made it official government policy to annex the Gaza Strip. And now here it is, catching up with the West Bank. We're doing the West Bank too. It's now official government policy to ethnically cleanse these regions. Yeah, exactly, Tisrael. And I've said that before. The only debate happening is, do we kill them all or do we kick them off into a country and maybe start a war? Can we find a country corrupt enough to just let us dump 1.5 million starving people into their desert? Anyway, there you go. Make sure you check them out. Do Dissidents. Thank you. Sorry for stealing this, guys. I don't have time to listen to your commentary. I'm sure it's on point and with it. Make sure you're checking them out, folks. Do Dissidents. Maybe hire an artist instead of doing AI. This looks AI, bros. I think this is supposed to be a microphone, a DD. I think it's like a DD microphone situation. It's very busy. Fix that shit. You know me. I'm just an asshole. I gotta show my ass somewhere in there. I'm trying to compliment somebody. I got to make sure to offhand give them an insult because that's really great. Once again, we're not going to listen to this whole thing. In fact, we're actually going to steal this content from Breaking Points. I'm very sorry. This girl's a Republican, by the way. She voted for Trump. She voted for, she's like, her and Sagar are like the right wingers on this network. Where the fuck is the mea culpa? You should literally wear a necklace that says, I'm sorry I voted for Trump in every fucking segment. I mean, honestly, I'm supposed to take you seriously. I'm supposed to take your analysis seriously. You voted for Trump. Okay, maybe she did do a mea culpa and I haven't seen it, but you're strutting. This is like when the Bush administration officials were back on TV. Like, whoa, wait a minute. These guys are complete loser failures that fucked us up for 8 years. Now let's cut to the CNN interview for him as an expert or them as an expert. I don't want to hear from Donald Rumsfeld unless it's his goddamn confession. So anyway. Stop the madness, okay? You should be ashamed of yourself voting Trump. She follows politics. She's fucking super plugged in, dude. That's her goddamn job. She clearly likes it. Anyway, get this shit, okay? Hell has officially frozen over, okay? To plan your next vacation. It's sunny and bright, temperate, cheap drinks. Okay, it's a great place to vacation hell. Don't go to Las Vegas. Just go straight to hell. Just cut the middleman out, okay? It has officially frozen over. Pod Save America is acknowledging the existence of an ethnic cleansing and genocide, dude. That's it. We won. We beat him. Final boss. Pod Save America defeated. All it took was over a decade of pointing out how fucking naive and bootlicking they are. But here they are, Pod Save America. Yeah, there's no wiggle room here. This is wrong. We got it literally saying, cut off weapons to Israel, dog. Pod Save America. Pod Save America, okay? If Joe Biden released a cologne, one of these guys from Pod Save America would buy it. That's the level we're dealing with here of neoliberal bootlicking. And here they are. Yeah, we got no choice. The moral decision, the correct decision is to cut Israel off before they complete this disgusting project. Pod Save America. Look, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know why I'm bloviating. Okay, just understand, okay? It's this has been a decade in the making with these fucking shills.
Was before, like, this is over and done. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that.
And I don't think Democratic candidates should take money from AIPAC or vote to fund military support for Israel anymore. Like, I really don't. In this government, absolutely not. And that especially includes...
All right, so there you go. There's the neoliberal wiggle room. You might have missed it, right? But this government, you got to leave the door open in case Bibi Netanyahu, some magical moderate that literally doesn't exist in Israeli politics, takes over. Leave that little wiggle room open. Oh, maybe we can still pretend that there's a two-state solution. But this is as good as we're going to get from these MSNBC gobblers.
Israel anymore. Like, I really don't. In this government, absolutely not. And that especially includes,
I don't think they have
the next Democratic nominee.
Strategy member. Things I want to see Democrats at least calling for is cutting off military assistance to Israel. It's a rich country, by the way. They don't need our $3 billion a year. And hands up, right, Barack Obama?
One year ago, Pod Save America would have happily joined in the chorus of calling you an anti-Semite if you got in front of a TV camera and said, we need to defund Israel completely. If AOC did it 1 year ago, if AOC got up, and she's too much of a coward to do it, including Bernie Sanders, and completely cut off aid, these fucking shills would have joined in the chorus of saying that's too far, going too far, but Hamas, okay? And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier about how this is kind of a hedge, right? It's like, well, we got to start the mea culpa process so that we don't look like we've been acquiescing to this ethnic cleansing, so that we don't look like we've been denying what is happening in front of our face, right? That the cynics were right. It's kind of a soft and slow process. So here we are beginning this process here. And there's, and don't get it twisted. There absolutely is a connection between CNN, ABC, NBC, all these different outlets, so-called liberal outlets, acknowledging reality, and these fucking chuckleheads coming along, right? There's absolutely a connection there, okay? I don't mean to insult people here, okay, but what I'm going to say is insulting. These people fundamentally are cowards, and they make decisions like cowards make decisions. They're not leaders, they're following a vibe. They're following, they want to keep their legitimacy amongst this group of people that give them money for some godforsaken reason, right? That's what this is, okay? And it's great, fine, I'll take it. But I'm not going to sit here and forget for the last 10 plus years the existence of your fucking podcast. You've been carrying water and shoveling like the goddamn Zionist support that these guys, during the Joe Biden administration, was fucking sickening. 4 years of just unashamed bootlicking from Biden on to Israel, and these guys had his back. Some tepid criticism if we were lucky. All right. So once again, the Johnny-come-latelys.
Signed a 10-year MOU for $3.3 billion a year. So we're part of the problem here. Let's correct it. I would like to see talk about sanctioning Israeli government officials who use genocidal rhetoric or talk about ethnic cleansing openly. We should support a ceasefire resolution at the UN. We should demand that international press be allowed into the Gaza Strip to report on what's happening without an IDF minder. It's insane. The press still can't go into Gaza and cover what's happening. And I also think there has to be a total mindset change in the Democratic Party. When the war ends, we are not going back to the pre-October 7th status quo because it's not where the party is. It's not where the world is. We're not going to shovel billions a year in military aid. We're not going to veto every effort to recognize the Palestinians.
If they are taking a step forward, like in this case, Harry Haas, it's because it's simply untenable to continue to sit there on the fence, right? Cowardly behavior, right? Because real nutsacks would have been 10 years ago. This is ridiculous. Okay, there's a difference, right? These guys can't hold a candle to Owen Jones, who has consistently since the very beginning, ever since he got in front of a camera, has said this is disgusting and wrong, and has been 100% correct the whole time. These Johnny-come-latelys, they need to be treated as such.
State at the
Harry, exactly. And they're trying to put the fence back up. They're like, we want to sit back on this fence so badly. They try to build the fence again. And it's like, no, you're not salvaging this.
UN. We should not take money from AIPAC. And I will hold out hope for better political leadership in the U.S. and in Israel. But we have to also recognize that the Biden era hug Bibi Netanyahu strategy has to be thrown in the trash can for fucking ever. Netanyahu's a bad actor. Yeah. He's continuing a war for...
Would have been nice to acknowledge that like the rest of us did years ago. But anyway, thanks, Johnny.
Political purposes. He bombs Lebanon when he wants to. He bombs Iran when he wants to. He bombs Syria when he wants to. This is not a partner we can count on. This is not someone who is leading to calm and stability in the region, which should be a core interest.
At this point, cutting off military funding for a government that is starving 2 million people and advertising how they're ethnically cleansing the Palestinians seems like the least we can do.
Especially if we're going to head into a primary, table stakes is going to be no more military aid.
1 year ago, I can't stress this enough, 1 year ago, every single one of these shills would have joined in the chorus of vilifying anybody who was standing up against Israel in the defense of the neoliberal establishment. Let me make that fucking clear, all right? So save your applause. Oh, these guys sound quite sensible. Yeah, after the fact. Hindsight 2020. Real fucking political geniuses.
For Israel. So there will have to be a shift, and I do think that will mean putting far more pressure on Israel, and that's what I think Democrats want. By the way, that's what the country wants, and when you poll Israelis, they say they want a fucking ceasefire. Israelis want the hostages returned through a negotiated settlement, and by the way, that's the way in which the vast majority of hostages who were returned were able to be returned.
And
right. Let's once it's so great, right? Welcome from terra firma, it's south of Boston. Over there, it's your boy Lenny. What's up? Hashtag more Lenny. Get your ass over to that Lenny stream. So yeah, the last guy is hilarious, right? Oh, Israeli society wants a ceasefire. Israeli society wants a ceasefire. Yeah, they also want to complete the ethnic cleansing. And it's like, yeah, conquerors would prefer the people that they're conquering to not resist and not fight back. They would definitely prefer a ceasefire, right? But let's give them that caveat. Let's ignore the fact that of democratic plurality. I'm not saying every single person in Israel, obviously. There is a peace movement, a pro-Palestinian peace movement that exists in Israel. Very small, very marginalized. Any representation that they had in the Knesset is being surgically removed. But let's just ignore all that because we're Pod Save America. And at the end of the day, we are trash. Big
breaking news is happening.
I'm not a censorship guy, you know that, but I will celebrate the day Pod Save America folds up shop, okay? They suck. They eternally fucking suck. And let me tell you, they're going to suck real hard when the election season starts up and the defense of the neoliberal establishment. Oh, it's the safe choice. We just can't risk voting for progressives this time. It's too important. Gonna have to back the establishment. There's gonna be at least two people on that Pod Save America podcast that are gonna back Gavin Newsom over a progressive choice. Guarantee it. They don't learn. Neoliberals don't learn. We're done with Gaza. Oh, Jesus. Celebrate! That we get to leave. Right? We get to leave. We get to close the tab. We get to turn the page. You know, the people in Palestine, they don't get to do that. Remember that. Remember that privilege that we have. Moving on to the other atrocity happening out of the dozens. But this is the one this is the last segment. I won't have time for anything else. Sorry. Climate, world, neoliberalism. We'll have to do it next time. Bloviated too long on Gaza. You know, I got to make these points though. It's a complicated situation. If you don't make these points, if you're not clear on these situations, the opaque argument turns into an advantage for the tyrants. From the river to sea, America will be free. Anyway, thank you, Woke Patriot. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around. We're moving on to the next segment now, Ukraine. Big news. I actually have not mentioned this at all during the stream, and I really should have, but kind of scary stuff. Welcome back, Quick Double Tab. Russia or Donald Trump moving nuclear armed subs closer to Russia. Obviously, it's a threat. I think it's pointless. We don't need to do this. It's posturing. Am I worried about nuclear escalation? No, not at all. But let's get the news here.
Afternoon, 2 nuclear submarines are on the move.
As Americans finished their working week, the news that their president had ordered nuclear subs closer to Russia in response to remarks from the former Russian president Dmitry Medvedev about the risk of war. The same evening, he accused Medvedev of running his mouth.
And when you mention the word nuclear, I say, my eyes light up and I say, we better be careful.
I will say this. I would have preferred Joe Biden make a strong rebuttal to Medvedev's, sorry, I murdered that word, to Medvedev's threats. Because this is not the first time this guy has done that. Over and over and over again, hinting at the nuke. Joe Biden stays quiet. U.S. government stays quiet, doesn't really respond to it. And it's like, I understand, it's like, well, that it's so ridiculous, it doesn't even warrant a response. But that vacuum was taken advantage of. That lack of response was basically interpreted by propagandists and people that are easily swayed that America is intimidated, that we're worried about it. We don't want to respond because we don't want to escalate, right? Like an abused wife or like an abused girlfriend who doesn't want to respond to a belligerent boyfriend or husband because she just doesn't want to make him more angry. That's how it was interpreted. So, this piece of fucking trash over here responding, it's kind of a broken clock situation because I do think a response to the outrageous and ridiculous nuclear threat, dog whistling, there should have been a response to that. We're not intimidated. If Russia ever launches a nuke, the entire country is going to be annihilated straight up. I don't want to sit here and make a bunch of nuclear threats, but I do want to make clear if Russia attacks anybody with a nuclear weapon, that is an escalation and it will be treated as such. Right. I don't think there's any problem with American representatives saying totally ridiculous. And let's not forget, this is mutually assured destruction. We're not going to sit silently if a nuclear weapon is dropped. It's utterly ridiculous. Russia doesn't want that smoke. Right. I think a response in that ilk is appropriate.
Because it's the ultimate threat. He shouldn't have said it. He's got a fresh mouth. He said things in the past, too.
So
we always want to be ready.
President Putin hasn't commented on that yet, but yesterday he did address Trump's mounting frustration about the war in Ukraine.
As for any disappointments on the part of anyone, all disappointments arise from inflated expectations. This is a well-known general rule. But in order to resolve the issue peacefully, it is necessary to have thorough conversations and not in public.
Russian attacks kept coming in Kyiv this week, despite Trump threatening Moscow with punishing tariffs unless it makes a deal.
Quick double tap pointing out that the nuclear missiles that are equipped in these Russian subs, I believe, are intercontinental. So they were literally in range where they were sitting at. So it's not like getting any closer is going to increase the damage, right? This isn't a video game. So legitimately, it's just posturing, right? I wonder if Trump admin diverted money away from upgrading him. Yeah. Well, he also, fucking.
By the 8th of August to end the war in Ukraine. But if it was Trump dishing out Nobel Peace Prizes, perhaps it would be self-awarded.
I mean, I settled a lot of wars. I think I settled averaging about a war a month. But, we're saving millions of lives.
Some countries see his tariffs as nothing but inflammatory. In Brazil,
Pete Hegseth. What I was going to mention is that, and on top of what Woke Patriot said, Pete Hegseth is also immediately one of the first things he does when he sits down in the chair. Big priority is making it easier for Russia to spread propaganda through America. What side are they on? That is a fair question, and obviously Trump isn't totally pro-Kremlin, or else he would just be blindly against Ukraine no matter what happens. And obviously, he basically just wants Ukraine to give up all their territory. But there does appear to be some separation between Putin and Donald Trump. But the way that Donald Trump works is you're never quite sure what his position is.
Outrage after 50% tariffs were slapped on the country by the US and seen only as political revenge.
The Brazilian people are in charge in Brazil, and we will not accept any American intervention here in our country.
There's also the small matter of friction in his own country and accusations that he's once again shooting the messenger. After the release of disappointing job figures, he fired Erica McIntyre, the boss of the US Bureau of Labor Statistics. In a social media post, he claimed, without evidence, that the job number...
the Woke Patriots points about the missiles. Yeah, that's true. Getting closer. It does. Okay. Yeah, it's not totally, but even with that factor, that if you do get close, it's less chance of interception, et cetera, it's still posturing. Like, this is not a legitimate nuclear threat. With that said, like I said earlier, it's like, It is time to have some kind of response to this. We simply can't allow Russia to just pull the fucking nuclear threat button every other month and control the narrative on that level, right? Like that we're supposed to be scared of these threats.
Were rigged to make the Republicans and him look bad, saying the country was doing great. Moves on the international stage.
Blase pointing out that the India buying Russian oil loophole has been, fully closed.
Can help distract from issues at home.
Less
and the
money in
Kremlin
Russia's
certainly
pockets.
doesn't appear to be treating America's nuclear submarines as a crisis just yet. After all, in President Trump's first term in office, he'd publicly fall out and then, in his words, fall in love again with Kim Jong-un. But just as with Trump's failure to get North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons, so seems to be the case with Russia and its war. Proof, perhaps, that some things are out of the control of President Trump's America.
Yeah, no shit. Yes, I've been watching Tom Goes to the Mayor. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Sopranos, I've been watching Sopranos and Tom Goes to the Mayor. Yes, leave me alone. You guys get to look at my algorithm. It's very personal. This is great. So just once again, Grok just refusing to be a right-wing tool of propaganda. And, you know, it's really funny to see Elon Musk caught between, you know, wanting Grok to basically be a clone of him, which is Mecha Hitler, and him needing to make Grok a viable product, which means it needs to, you know, it needs to make its conclusions sourced in reality. So it's one or the other. It's either a disgusting Mecha Hitler, anti-woman, you know, racist bigot that doesn't believe in facts, or it's a functioning LLM that can actually be valuable and, you know, people would actually want to use it, spend money on it, right? It's not, you can't have both because it's not human, right? Only the human brain can hold two completely contradictory ideas in their head and make it make sense. Like that turns into logic. It's a complete state of denial and delusion, but it turns into common sense and logic. The human brain is really fucked up. But here's Defmon, who pays Elon Musk $5 a month. I don't know why you would do that. Using the picture of Tom Clancy. So maybe this is a right winger. This is probably a right winger. Someone who's going to be a Tom Clancy fan who's giving Elon Musk $5 a month. Probably a right winger. But anyway, he asks Grok here, which are the top 10 bullshit spreading Vantnik accounts? So these are pro-Russian accounts. And don't be surprised. The wording is interesting too. Vatnik spotting, a sport for the discerning. Based on independent analysis of propaganda patterns and engagement, here are a top 10 list of accounts often peddling pro-Russian BS on X. Subjective, but substantiated by sources like Vatnik Soup. So Elon Musk, number one. Can we talk about Elon Musk, Starlink, and their support of the Russian military, literally providing material help in Russia's war against Ukraine, and Donald Trump doing nothing about it? I mean, literally, we're sending billions of dollars to help Ukraine, but we're giving subsidies and tax breaks to an oligarch who's giving legitimate, substantive help. And I'm talking real help. Starlink allows them to use drones to kill Ukrainians every single day. So just material assistance. It's so fucking clustered. It's so fucked, right? No oligarch should have that kind of power. And what does Jeff Bezos do? Like, Jeff Bezos is looking at it like, I can't wait. I can't wait. I know nobody wants to elect me. I know I make people's skin crawl just looking at me and listening to me. So I know I'm not going to win a Democratic election. But I can't wait to be an authoritarian leader. Anyway, Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Tim Pool, Jackson Hinkle, Jordan Peterson, Tulsi Gabbard, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Scott Ritter, George Galloway, Benny Johnson. The fucking, the goddamn gaggle of villains. All of them getting checks from Russia. They're either getting checks or kickbacks or help from Russia, material help from Russia. And straight up, these people, they should be investigated first. They should be indicted and investigated for traitorous action, for being a traitor, seditious. They should be investigated for sedition, providing military aid to a country that we're functionally at war with. Yes, it's a proxy war, but tens of billions of American dollars going into the defense of Ukraine, and these motherfuckers actively taking money from Russia to undermine that effort. They should, I'm not saying like just haul them off, no evidence, right? I'm saying do a deep investigation on their connections to the Russian government and like, let's get this shit on paper. Let's get a real investigation. Of course, we're not going to get that under Trump's America. But, you know, and Tucker Carlson, number 2 on this list. What has TYT been up to lately? Blowing Tucker Carlson because of his fucking interview with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I'm sorry, if you're bringing up Tucker Carlson, you know, talking about stuff that you like, you need to point out that the man is not to be trusted. He is a nihilistic sociopath, Tucker Carlson. So if he happens to be correct or if he happens to be doing something interesting, you need to insert that caveat. And TYT, I saw him do it once. They were like, you know, we don't like this guy, but we're going to report on this interview. But I only saw him do, and they keep bringing up Tucker Carlson. I think Anna or someone's going to do an interview with Tucker Carlson. No, it's like, fine. You want to do an interview, you want to talk about it, that's fine. But let's not do a Cenk versus. Is he on the list? No, he's not on it. Cenk versus Charlie Kirk situation. Smiling, shaking hands. Oh, we have a lot in common, don't we? Yeah, I mean, I know you're a pro-fascist nihilist, but yeah, as a person who represents the progressive left, we have a lot in common. Being investigated for corruption or something, we're going to take the money from Ukraine and kick back. Something. What's your opinion about that? Corruption, like any government, exists in Ukraine. The Zelensky administration has shown an interest in going after corrupt Russian-connected elements of their government without violating free speech. The most recent action that happened in Ukraine, of course, Zelensky going way too far and trying to put these regulatory investigative bodies under his government's control, that were supposed to be investigating transparency and corruption, and putting them under his government's control, which eliminates the whole purpose of these existing, right? Because they need to be transparent and independent. People went out and protested. He reversed that decision immediately. Incredibly positive stuff. So, yeah, I think corruption is a real thing in Ukraine. It's been a real thing in its entire existence, exacerbated by being a vassal state of Russia for so long. Ultimately, though, do I think Zelensky is interested in perpetuating this corruption? No. Do I think he's locking everything down and doing everything possible? Probably not. Do I think he's pro-Russian corruption and pro-stuffing money in his pockets? No. I think Zelensky wants that money on the front lines. He understands the damage that corruption does internally, and of course to their to their appearance, their, how it looks in the Western alliance that is currently backing him up and keeping his military funded. He knows it's important to be anti-corrupt so that the West can continue to justify helping him. I mean, could you imagine? Because, you got Trump and Trump Jr. Oh, Zelensky is so corrupt. Zelensky spends so much money. They're doing that right now, even when it's not true in the least. Like there's none of that, there's some corruption here and there, but it's not like, they treat it like it's the end of the world. Like, they treat it like we're dumping billions of dollars and it's literally just Zelensky and his family stuffing pockets, right? That's their rhetoric. That's what it sounds like. Now, how bad would it be if there was some evidence of Zelensky putting billions of dollars in his pockets, right? How effective would those lies, those hyperbolic lies from Trump and other pro-Russian sources, how bad would that be? So that's why it's so important for Zelensky to be doubling down, tripling down on this. Could he be doing more? I believe so. But is he pro-corruption? I don't think so. Because someone who is pro-corruption wouldn't have reversed that decision when people marched and protested when it comes to those independent regulatory, independent investigative, I don't know what to call them. But, he wouldn't have reversed that decision if he was pro-corruption. Okay, I don't know why this is here. This is a non sequitur, but here's our fascist president talking about Canada, trade deals, and Palestine. Hey, can't win them all, huh, folks? Can't win them all. All right, moving on to the next story here. It's kind of a small one, but it's nice to see solidarity. Dozens walk out as sanctioned Russian politician addresses Geneva Parliament Speakers Conference. So, representative from Russia talking about peace and war crimes, and it's oh so bad, it's oh so bad, it's oh so bad. People just walking out at the absurdity of it. I'm not going to listen to a person perpetuating an illegal invasion, committing atrocities every single day against our soldiers and civilians, And I'm not going to sit here to this Botox freak, right, trying to tell me what's moral, what isn't and isn't moral. I'd walk the fuck out of there too. Yeah, Swiss neutrality that was never really neutral. They really, I mean, it's obvious now that they've picked a side, and I'm glad that they've picked the side that they have. They picked the right side. But yeah, it is a Johnny come, because they still want to rhetorically say that they're neutral, right? Because that's what the people want. But meanwhile, they're funding their military, and they're supporting Ukraine, joining NATO, right? It was them and Finland. Switzerland and Finland, they joined NATO. I'll never get I need to read a fucking book. No, was it Sweden? Was it Sweden and Finland? Damn it. Sweden and Finland. Damn it. I need to read a fucking book. Okay? You know what you guys need to do? Donate thousands of dollars to me. Fund my lifestyle so I can just basically sit around and read and like smoke weed and just read all day. And that will make the value of the content much better if you just fund my lifestyle for me. Just cut the middleman out. Just cut the middleman out. Send me frozen pizzas and marijuana directly, and I'm good to go, right? I'm like a gerbil. You just put food in my cage, and then you can leave me alone for like, a little while. Make sure I have water. Mountain Dew. I don't drink that shit anymore. I drink like 1 Mountain Dew a year, maybe 2 a year. I'm like, oh, I'm gaming today. Like, I'm doing it, man. I'm gaming all night. I'm drinking my Mountain Dew. And then I'm fucking like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm going to bed. I'm not staying up all night at all. My ass going to bed. So this is hilarious. Moving on to the story here. Meanwhile, in Russia, state media outlet RIA Novosti. So this is just casual reading, Russian media. There is no option. There is no other option. No one should remain alive in Ukraine. Oh, okay, that's a reasonable take. That's a reasonable take. When I win the lottery, fella? Hey, you got it. I'll hold you to it. You're going to give me a chunk of that $3,000 you won on a scratch off, buddy. That's mine. I'm going to guilt trip you into it. You're going to give it to me in a bits donation. I'm going to say thank you and literally never mention it again. And then show off all the shit that I bought with your money. Call you some guy in my chat. Some guy in my chat donated $3,000. Thanks, guy. I bought a Pokemon card with it. So anyway, Russian media, just casual, reading the newspaper in Russia, right? This is what you get. A bit on the nose? No, not a bit. No, Eric, what do you mean a bit on the nose? What are you talking about, man? It's a sensible discussion about annihilating an entire population of people that, they won't accept your invasion like good little, I don't know, lemmings. What do you even call them? All right. Please invade us, please. All right. Last video. Like I like to do with the Ukraine segments, I always like to go back to your boys. Either Vlad Vexler, who's amazing. By the way, subscribe to this man immediately. Vlad Vexler. Help him out. Help his channel out. Let's get the link. Hello, beautiful community. He's great. He's amazing. Make sure you're helping out Vlad. So we're either ending on a Vlad video or reporting from Ukraine. So I think we're going to do that, reporting from Ukraine. Let's get an update on the front lines, on the battlefield here. Let's see what's happening. Open conflict. Russian drones fly over European cities. Ooh, that is actually frightening. All right, let's see here. Let's see the latest one. I want to get a frontline battle assessment here. So this is about a drone operation. Finally, Russian allies walk out of the room. Okay, we covered that. Comprehensive battlefront breakdown, a strategic look at every front. I mean, this reporting from Ukraine. Literally exactly what I just asked for. Boom, here it is. Strategic update. They're still using this guy in the thumbnail. This guy is no longer the commander of the military. Why are they still using this guy? Change your fucking thumbnail. What is this guy? What does he do? He's not. Is he even in the military anymore? He was like demoted or shifted. Someone else is in charge of this shit now. I don't know. It's weird, dude. It's like I don't know why do I keep seeing this guy's face? He's not the commander of the military. Anyway, okay. Members only content. Well, I'm not going to do this because I'm a raging hypocrite. That sucks, though. I want to see that. All right, let's do a different video. That's fair. They work very hard making very good content. They're absolutely allowed to monetize it and gatekeep it however they wish. That's perfectly up to them. No problem with that. Sucks, but that's life, right? 145 million on Euro Million. Frontline and Sumi moved back. Frontline's everywhere else moved ever so slightly. 4 hours ago, the latest video. Okay, he covers it a little bit there. Let's do it.
Today, the biggest news comes from Eastern Europe. Here, a Shahed-type drone flew directly. Today, the biggest news comes from Eastern Europe. Here, a Shahed-type drone flew directly into Lithuanian airspace and passed over the capital, marking a serious escalation in Russia's aerial provocations against NATO's eastern flank. Poland's Air Force is already on a nightly high alert, and now the rest of the Baltics are joining in.
So why are we being pussies and not shooting these things down? What? Oh, escalation. I'm sorry. We're not talking about a hobby drone here. We're talking about a piece of military equipment flying in your airspace. You're supposed to. We don't know the target. Oh well, we assume it's going into Ukraine. Okay. It's in your airspace. It's a fucking grenade. It's a deadly military weapon. Are we shooting this thing down or not? Oh, I don't know. I'm scared. Oh, if NATO shoots down weapons, does that mean NATO's joined the war? Holy shit. Are we cursed? Are we cursed to live in a world where the assholes take it way too fucking far every time? And then the response, this lefty milquetoast neoliberal response, is always like, oh, wait and see. Oh, wait and see. We're just perpetually bullied, right? Like forever bullied. Like we're just forever the victim, like the fucking wimpy kid novels, right? I'm just a wimpy guy. And just gotta, make the best of it. We're too much of a pussy to shoot down ordnance. We're not even talking about a human being here. I'm talking about a flying fucking grenade. Oh, can't even shoot it down. Too fucking scared. Escalation. What if he threatens nuclear weapons like he did yesterday?
Raising what increasingly resembles an iron curtain in the air. Recently, a Russian Shahed-like drone crossed into Lithuanian airspace
Eric,
from Belarus and flew over the outskirts of Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania, close enough for civilians to see and film the device in flight. Initial fears suggested a live munition had entered NATO airspace, as Shaheds are often fitted with fragmentation, thermobaric, incendiary, or delayed fuse warheads to cause maximum casualties and damage to civilian property. Fortunately, upon further inspection of the video footage, the object was identified as a Gerbera decoy drone, a visually similar platform Russia uses for both reconnaissance and saturation.
So, Russia, right up to the line, right up to the edge. Well, technically, it's a military drone, but it wasn't equipped, it wasn't explosive. It was a decoy drone. That doesn't make it any better, but that does slightly change. It's like this little game that these countries are playing, And it's like, that's one of the things that makes me so disgusted with Joe Biden, because he just had this golden opportunity to be like Patton, to be like like a Winston Churchill type, right? Obviously, no one-to-one comparisons there. But do you know what I mean? Like he had an opportunity to like leave a big red slap across Putin's face, and he chose cowardice instead. So Smash, the point of these decoys is you overwhelm air defense to just like shooting down multiple targets that are coming from multiple places. So you use decoys to overwhelm, hopefully to distract the anti-air, anti-drone defenses. So then, you distract, and then you send in the actual explosive drone after the distractions or during the distractions, right, to actually hit your target. So that's the point of these decoys.
Purposes during their daily strikes on Ukrainian cities. While unarmed, the drone crossed directly over a NATO capital, far from any logical flight path to Ukraine, making it clear that this was no accident. Instead, it was a calculated decision to test NATO's reaction time, radar coverage, and political tolerance for such direct aerial threats and provocations, and critically, Lithuanian forces did not intercept. Poland, meanwhile, has entered a state of routine high alert.
Why are we letting this completely mediocre, inadequate, selfish, full of himself dictator get away with this, man? Are we so pathetic to be bullied by a Putin? Look into the man. Cheats on his wife. Steals money from the Russian people, murders people like we breathe. And we got to worry about this tyrant. We got to, oh no, we don't want to piss him off, don't want to tick him off. Feels like I'm in Russia half the fucking time. Like, why the fuck am I scared of this dictator?
With Polish and NATO forces scrambling jets and raising radar systems every time Russia launches a large-scale assault on Ukraine, which happens every night and now often even during the day as well.
Yeah.
NATO partners, including Swedish Gripens, are now joining Poland in maintaining a high alert status during Russia's large-scale drone and missile attacks on Ukraine, reinforcing joint readiness across the eastern flank.
Okay, we're talking about professionals using multi-million-dollar equipment. They knew what it was. They knew it was they knew they have the technology to identify what it is. They should have shot it down straight up. God damn it.
While these alerts are...
Hey, no problem, Tisrael. This is the last video anyway. Thank you so much for sticking around. I do appreciate you coming to the News Underground. And, of course, everyone, Tisrael is from Ukraine, so I very much value your opinions, from the country that you live in. Very valuable. Thank you again for your input. Have yourself a good night.
Precautionary, they have become the new norm, as the Polish border lies directly behind the approach paths of Russian missiles and drones targeting western Ukrainian cities. This proximity means any technical malfunction or mid-course deviation could result in a direct violation of Polish airspace, as seen in previous incidents, including when debris from Russian missiles entered Polish territory in 2022, or when a Ukrainian...
Yeah, John Axel, yes, there are less people supporting Donald Trump on the right. It's all moot because he's a full-blown dictator and he has complete control over the justice system in America. There will absolutely be no punishment. The main problem is that it's an annoyance. Meanwhile, he's completely dismantling the American government, and there's absolutely no justice that's going to be seen because of the pedophilia. But yes, there are, a bunch of completely ignorant, ridiculous Republicans that thought he was going to release the files that he wasn't in them. Yeah, they're butthurt. They're butthurt. They're gonna go right along with it though once the election season starts ramping up. Once the right wing influencers are like, it's either this or it's blood drinking liberal gay tyranny, right? So once those idiots are presented with that false reality, they'll come crawling right back to the pedophile. I know he's a pedophile, but. Get used to hearing that. So that's kind of the update with the right wing and Epstein, John Axel.
Air defense missile landed on a Polish field, killing 2 farmers. Unlike the calculated provocation over Vilnius, Poland faces a more constant strain of nightly threats, scrambling fighters.
It's a nightmare with no amount of justice to be seen. Okay. Justice is the last thing that we're going to get. We're going to have to get justice retroactively, right? Like we're going to have to hold a mock trial at Donald Trump's grave, okay, and to lay out his crimes and convict him of the crimes that we failed to convict him of when he was alive. Like there's, it's that depressing of a situation with the Epstein stuff, right? Because this whole scandal could have been orchestrated and created by Joe Biden and the Democratic Party during the elections. They chose not to do it. Why? For Billy fucking Clinton. And probably some other fucking, Democrat supporters. Hey, Smash got a date. Hey, all right. That's great news, Smash. Good luck. Hopefully he's a nice guy, girl, whatever, but hopefully it's a nice date. I hope you two have fun. Be safe, okay? Have that pepper spray ready, whatever you need to feel safe, but go have fun. It's great news. Great news. All right, back to the video.
Activating radar grids and maintaining alert in civilian areas without knowing whether each launch might cause military objects to cross into its airspace. Across the Baltics, Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia have long depended on NATO's Baltic Air Policing mission, with Hungary, Italy, and Spain being part of the current rotation, maintaining quick reaction alert status and integrated into NATO's broader air defense system. However, the unchallenged drone over Vilnius shows the limits of deterrence alone, and Lithuania is now accelerating the deployments of Ukrainian-developed acoustic drone detection systems, seeking to fill gaps in its...
Whoa, dude! Whoa! How cool! It's like lo-fi and high-tech audio. No electric jamming, no radar, fancy Tesla invented radar, just a really, really good listening ear. Listening for the brrrr. Man. The innovations just keep coming, man, and that's why we can't, we got to apply the pressure to Russia, because as soon as we get an advantage, this is the technology that Russia's going to be taking full advantage of, right? In a couple, maybe a year or 6 months. Fascinating, though. Fascinating stuff.
Early warning networks exposed by the most recent airspace violation. At the same time, the Baltic states are reinforcing their readiness for both air-to-air and ground-to-air engagements by expanding joint training protocols, adapting quick reaction procedures, and integrating new detection systems designed to counter the threat of low-flying unmanned platforms. And across all 3 states, radar tracking, jamming incidents logs, and drone incursions are now analyzed with a single assumption that any aerial anomaly could be the opening in a broader conflict.
Yeah.
The emerging posture is no longer passive monitoring. With new drone detection systems, joint alert protocols, and revised civilian flight corridors, it is becoming forward-leaning, reinforced, and increasingly closed, an iron curtain in the air. Overall, Russia's latest airspace violations are increasingly escalating and reshaping NATO's eastern defenses through repeated calculated provocations that expose gaps, test thresholds, and
this little piece of Russia in between Lithuania and Poland. What did this used to be? I know Moldova's down here, and I know that's contested. Is that Belarus? That's Belarus, right? That's what's going on. It is pretty fucking comical. You look at this map and you're like, Russia's up to something, right? Like if you know what I mean. It's old Prussia. Is that what it is? I thought this is Belarus. Where's Belarus on this? Oh, Jesus Christ! It's right in front of my face. Holy fucking fuck. Okay, I'm 50 lashes. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream in a couple minutes, and I'm gonna go whip myself bloody. Where's Belarus, guys? I don't know. Somewhere, it's some small little something somewhere on here. So I can't tell. Where's Belarus, guys? Where is it? Is that Belarus? That must be Belarus right there. That one's Belarus right there. No doubt about it. I don't know what this. What is this? Hey, B-Rees, welcome back. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. I believe you came in on a raid, right? It was nice. You stuck around. Had the cojones. It's good to see you.
Force reaction. The incursion over Vilnius is a template for how Moscow may continue to pressure NATO's eastern flank, trying to provoke member states into triggering an open conflict.
No, blasé. No, I'm just an idiot. I'm not even going to blame the American education system on this one. I'm just literally dumb. Please help me. Please donate and fund my lifestyle. Hey, thank you, Beery. I do appreciate it. Right back at you. Appreciate the energy.
As Poland's nightly alerts become routine and Baltic air defenses are forced to harden, the question is no longer whether NATO will respond, but how far that response will go. And as this pattern deepens,
shoulda, coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda,
shoulda,
coulda, woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Okay, because now it's like it's this game, and now he's okay. We pushed it. Oh, I got away with it. I'm going to push it even further. And it's like, no, you nip this in the bud, right? Just like Churchill said, you don't negotiate with a lion when your head is in its mouth. Okay, and it's not exactly that situation, right? There's a different power dynamic here, but it's the same theory. You know, we don't negotiate on this level with this kind of bullying. We don't. There's no question there. You brush that shit away and show that you're strong, right? Yeah, ribbons. It is, but that's no excuse. It's literally in the center of the screen. There's just no excuse, okay? There's just no excuse. Please donate to help this poor, stupid boy.
Europe are no longer a buffer. They are becoming the front line.
There's no way to donate, by the way.
If you are against the invasion of Ukraine and you want to support...
All right, thank you, reporting from Ukraine. Right. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. And, hey, if you really want that Ukraine content, become a member of Reporting from Ukraine. And they got that hot content. They put a lot of work. It's not ass polls, okay? Things are sourced. Things are verified. They don't like to say shit unless they can verify it. But, yeah, so that's what we got for you today. There's your Sunday stream, folks. Sorry I can't give you more. I know we want more. I want more. Sorry I'm not a loser like XQC and I could just casually do 12-hour streams and I have no family, I have no friends. I just dump 12 hours into a stream and then pass out in the bed. I wish. I used to be that kind of loser and then I found my wife and then I stopped being that kind of loser. What can I do? But folks, you don't need to be a loser. Let's not forget why we're here. We're here to create change. We're here to confront tyranny. And how do we do that? It's actually as simple as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, we inform ourselves. That's what we did here today. Step 2, we sign up and show up. Plenty of places that need your help. Pick one, find it. Get your feet wet, get out there, and step 3, you got to put in the fucking work like the fascist Charlie Kirk. You got to work just as hard at building as the fascists do at destroying. That's the only way forward. I don't know what Slavoj Žižek was talking about. Something about a mountain, then he got to robot vaginas. I don't know. All I know is that I'm going to die on my feet. I know what's right and wrong. I don't need to be a fucking genius. I don't need to be Slavoj Žižek to know what is right, what is wrong. Human rights is right. Liberty, freedom, democracy is right. Tyranny, kidnapping, crimes against children, wrong. I don't need to be fucking Einstein to know that shit. So peace in that motherfucking Middle East. Glory to the Ukrainian democracy. Somehow we're going to make it through. And big fat nut props to every single regulator in the chat right now. Couldn't do this without you. #1 chat on Twitch, bar none. I'd put you up against anybody in this political realm. You'll smoke them. There's smoke them. Oh, they're typing little emojis. Meanwhile, you're giving them facts. Take care of yourself. Abandon nihilism. News Underground. Big props to B-Re, Gaius, Your Tubing, Nate Slayers. I am not fucking around. Unless I am sometimes. John Axel, big fucking props. Bulletproof bowling. That's right, guys. That's right. Speak softly, but carry a big stick. Big props to your boy, Walt Patriot. I want to believe. I want to believe. Thanks again, folks. Enjoy your weekend. Give your mom a call. She'll appreciate it. Thanks again. News Underground.